and the McKinney Chupacabras. When the Chupacabras are on the road, we're proudly manning out the Visit McKinney deal and promoting our great community. To learn about all the great events in McKinney, go to visitmckinney.com. Fans, the next home match is Saturday, May the 31st, and it's McKinney Youth Soccer Night when the Chupacabras take on Happyburg FC from Mississippi. McKinney Soccer Association, Southern Soccer Club, Steel United, Texas First, Supra, and many other local soccer clubs are coming out to celebrate the beautiful game in McKinney. Youth Soccer Night is presented by D1 Trading. The first 500 fans will receive a rattle towel courtesy of D1 Trading. Tickets are on sale now at McKinneyChupacabras.com. Fans, welcome to Rampo Stadium.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Rompo Stadium. We were here last Saturday for the historic home opener between the McKinney Chupacabras and the Denton Diablos. That game was a 7-goal thriller, but it ended in defeat for the Chupacabras. Today, they welcome the Mississippi Brilla. They've been around since 2007, never won the division, but they certainly have the experience to battle against this expectant 4,000 or so crowd. My name's Elliot Stockdale. Alongside me again this evening we have Daniel Esteve, and we'll be taking you through the entire duration of tonight's game. Tonight's game is brought to you by Texans Credit Union, who are a proud partner of the McKinney Chupacabras. Texans have made banking feel less banky now for over 70 years in North Texas. It's a place where you and your money will always feel at home. Swing by a Texans Credit Union branch or check them out online. That's the Texan way. And I'll tell you what else, Daniel, is the Texan way. And I'm sure we'll see them on the cameras throughout the night. The first 500 fans to come into the stadium tonight have been given not a foam finger, but a Chupacabra claw.
I've been seeing them all over social media, too. They look great, and honestly, they make for a great thing to take home for some of these fans. But, Elliot, I'm looking forward to this one. You know, it's very Texan, as you mentioned in our open. We love a rodeo, and my goodness, what a rodeo we had with 7 goals in match day 1. Now, of course, the hometown teams aren't going to be thrilled with that result ending in a 4-3 loss for the Chupacabras, but they must have taken that personally, Elliot, because we had just over 3,400 fans in match week 1. This day, as you mentioned, we're expecting over 4,000 fans at Rompo Stadium, set to witness what hopefully for the hometown fans will be a historic win number 1 for the McKinney Chupacabras. But the Mississippi Brilla are in their way, Elliot, and we are certainly excited for kickoff.
Indeed. Well, Mississippi Brilla come here off the back of a defeat themselves. They've played twice this season, haven't managed to win one in their home opener. They drew 0-0 to Hattiesburg, who will be visiting the Rompo Stadium on Saturday, and their over defeat came to Louisiana Crew by 3-2. They went down to 10 men in that one, and one of their star players, Ibrahim Kamara of Sierra Leone, got sent off. So that's a huge plus already for the Chupacabras heading into tonight.
Certainly a plus, and honestly, this early in the season, we talked so much about it this past weekend, is there are so many adjustments to be made. I feel like we're adjusting as we continue to develop our broadcast partnership. This team, being a complete new team in USL League 2, is starting to figure themselves out. The fans are starting to figure themselves out. And Elliot, I'll throw it out there too. This Dallas weather is starting to figure itself out here at Rompo Stadium. I think it was about 95 degrees last time we played. It is a beautiful temperature, and the fans are certainly excited to not sweat completely as they watch what hopefully will be a great time tonight.
Yeah, the wind has certainly picked up actually this evening. We've had quite a few storms over the last few days in North Texas. I think it was on Sunday night. You'll know, you're the news reporter.
It's cool, Elliot. It's cool. That's all we care about, okay? It's that heat we don't want to have to deal with because we know it's coming at some point. But wind or not, I think they'll enjoy it tonight.
Absolutely. Well, we spoke the other day about the Chupacabras not really being as physical as their opposition in comparison to the Denton Diablos. I actually think it's a pretty even battle today when you have a look at Mississippi Brilla. They've got a few quite big players, including Dennis O'John, who's on the substitutes bench this evening. But the players that have actually come in, and I'm sure we'll talk about the team in a few minutes' time, but Jack Monty's return and Blake Schmeckel, that's another new centre-back partnership for the home side. But both of them standing at 6 foot tall. It gives them a bit more physicality there in the defence.
Absolutely, and I think far beyond just the physical battle, I think something we saw in match day 1 was the mental battle that goes along with that. And that comes with the leadership that you're slowly starting to see pour back into this McKinney Chupacabra squad. And Jack Monty's a great example. He captains the squad tonight. And like you mentioned, Elliot, we'll get into the lineups. But starting to see some of that leadership back in to couple with some of that physicality that you mentioned can go a long way for a team that has given up goals strictly on mental errors and lack of communication.
Yeah, 10 goals conceded so far this season for the Chupacabras, and they've tried to help that, at least in the last couple of days, with signing a few more players. One of those players was Isaiah Guerrero. He came off the bench in the last home game. He's usually a centre-back, but starting and holding midfield today. How do you think that'll help the team?
I think it's fairly familiar for people who know the game of soccer and who have seen that position play out, especially in modern football. You'll see so many attacking fullbacks on the right and left side hold the flank, play overlapping balls, and really try to create 2-on-1 situations in the offensive half. But when you have that, in order to not leave yourself too exposed, you really want to have that holding midfielder, almost develop a back three in possession to help build out through the back. It just offers some defensive solidity, which is definitely, you talk about giving up 10 goals. I mean, you need some defensive solidity this early in the season for the Chupacabras.
Yeah, one of those players that's actually dropped out of that sort of defensive area is the goalkeeper, Raul Torres. I think he had a fairly mixed game on Saturday. I'd say probably 80% good. Maybe should have done better for their opening goal, but of course saved that penalty. He's not in the roster at all this evening. One of the new goalkeepers, Jaden Shell, takes his place on the substitutes bench with Soren Russell coming back in. Again, it's sort of that instability potentially at the back for the Chupacabras. I think that's more the coach, Jose Berziaga, kind of deciding what his best team is. He doesn't know yet. It often takes managers maybe 10 or 12 games. Berziaga doesn't have that. He only has 12 games, so he's got to try and find that out quicker rather than slower.
And Elliot, it takes you 10 or 12 games in any top flight division where you're training with these guys months in advance before a season, and you also have a fixed roster before that season starts, as we've seen with the McKinney Chupacabras this early in the season, and really just generally across USL League 2, is you have players being signed day before games. You have so much turnover on some of these players coming in and out of the squad. Jack Monty, again, as we already mentioned, is one of those examples. So it is so difficult for a coaching staff and the players at that to start to develop some kind of rhythm, but all the more important to take your opportunities when you are playing together, and this is just the next opportunity for the Chupacabras tonight.
Well, we'll go through team news in just a few minutes' time. The players are just preparing, just off camera, away to our right at the stadium here. We're expecting, though, on Saturday we had 3,600 fans here at the Rompo Stadium. From what one of the co-owners told us this evening, we're expecting over 4,000 fans here tonight. That's going to be a really difficult atmosphere for Brilla to play in.
It's important to note, Elliot, and we'll be honest with our viewers who are starting to tune in. If you ever have one of those games where you need to count how many ping pong balls are in a jar, Elliot and I are probably not the guys for you, because we kept trying to get a vague number of how many fans were at Rompo Stadium for match day one. Yeah, we guessed around 1,500 to 2,000. Yeah, try 3,500. Just goes to show how impressive the city of McKinney is. And with that in mind, thank you to Visit McKinney for your support of the McKinney Chupacabras. When the Chupacabras are on the road, we are proudly wearing our Visit McKinney gear and promoting our great community. And if you want to learn more about all the great events in McKinney, you can visit their website at visitmckinney.com. We break that record today, Elliot, with an extra 1,000 on hand, and they're certainly excited to watch the Chupacabras as they make their way out.
Yeah, I'm just seeing there's a pizza mascot down below us. I'm not too sure if that's an official mascot of the Chupacabras, but I think me and you would both agree we'd love a slice of pizza right now.
Don't tell me that right now, Elliot. I'm telling you what, I made the mistake of not eating before this, but I'm hoping my appetite is filled with an appetite for soccer, and we get some great stuff today.
Very, very smoothly done. Well, just another word then. You mentioned there about Visit McKinney, one of the McKinney Chupacabra sponsors. Tonight is Celebrate McKinney Night. And this is a night for the Chupacabras team and the Chupacabra supporters to celebrate all of the incredible businesses that we have down in the historic downtown McKinney. Of course, we'll have viewers tuning in from Mississippi. If you ever come down to McKinney, we'd love to have you at any of our amazing restaurants, facilities, wherever that may be. We have so many of them here tonight supporting us, including Tups Brewery, who have been supporting the McKinney Chupacabras since day one. They're the front of shirt sponsor, and if you ever do get the chance to stop down by the brewery, you can enjoy one of their fantastic lagers in the tap room, or grab a six-pack for your next tailgate party or barbecue. So many great businesses down here, and what a brilliant occasion to celebrate them on this beautiful Thursday night.
And we can assure our Mississippi fans that that generosity also extends during the match. Yes, there may be a sly comment there if a goal is scored against you, but that generosity will certainly be there. Great food, great drinks, great people, all in the city of McKinney. It is certainly a special time to be in the city as it continues to develop, and a professional soccer team is just the latest endeavor for them.
Well, it's a double Mississippi header for the Chupacabras. They've got Mississippi Brilla tonight, but then on Saturday they'll welcome Hattiesburg. They'll be certainly hoping that on Saturday they are coming off the back of a win.
Yeah, absolutely. Their first win in team history, and that is certainly something they're excited. Again, that next home match, Saturday, May 31st. It's also McKinney Youth Soccer Night, as Hattiesburg FC from Mississippi, as Elliot mentioned, comes to town. The McKinney Soccer Association, Solar Soccer Club, Steel United, the Texas Spurs, Supra, and other local soccer clubs are coming out to celebrate the beautiful game in McKinney. Youth Soccer Night is presented by D1 Training. The first 500 fans, they're not going to get that foam claw, but they will receive a rally towel courtesy of D1 Training. Tickets are already on sale at McKinneyChupacabras.com. We'll test our luck against the first Mississippi team, and we'll see if we can complete the double come Saturday.
Yeah, Jose Berciaga has come out already, sporting a blue tie today, not a red one, maybe trying to shake things up. And here come the teams, led by the captain, Jack Monty, for the Chupacabras, and I believe the captain for the away side is the goalkeeper, Sebastian Conlon, the 21-year-old. Is captain the side last season and is the captain again this season. Huge night in prospect here. Huge attendance that we are expecting. And hopefully, once again, Daniel, we have plenty of goals.
And with that being said, a huge applause from the Ron Poe Stadium fans as their team makes their way out into the field ahead of the national anthem. Just a special night. Plenty of those foam claws out there, and pretty impressive. A lot of the fans doubling up on the foam claws, trying to clap with them. Must be pretty difficult for them, but certainly excited to see this initial kickoff, and hopefully tonight we can be discussing some history after the fact, as you mentioned, Elliot.
Well, just in a few moments' time, we will go over the starting 11s for both sides. But first, we will now pause for the national anthem of the United States of America. Okay then, Daniel, time to go through our starting 11s for the two teams. We'll start with the away side, Mississippi Brilla, who make two changes from their 3-2 defeats to Louisiana Crew. Ibrahim Kamari is suspended and John drops to the bench. In come João Pereira and Ella Yancil. It's a back four, so Sebastian Conlon starts in goal, the captain. Right back is João Pereira. Two centre-backs of Angelo Sempigia and Ignacio Ariber with the number 12. Ilias Elayancil starting at left back. Two holding midfielders of Santiago Bustamante and Carlos Lobo. A front three then ahead of them of Robertson, Luco, George Djukovic and David Chung, with Mackinson Binder, the Haiti 22-year-old, leading the line. On the bench today for the away side, number 0, Cole Turner, number 2, Lucas Migon, number 3, Cesar Cuellar, number 5, Neville Harper, number 11, Dennis O'John, number 15, Mo Sanyang, number 18, Gage Sori, number 19, Marco Astora, and number 20, Killian Griffin. Moving on to the Chupacabras 11 now, and they've made 4 changes from their 4-3 defeat to the Denton Diablos. Out come Raul Torres, Ryan Anderson, JT Demidio and Jair Ruiz, and in come Soren Russell, Jack Monty, Blake Schmeckel and Isaiah Guerrera. So it's a back 4 once again in that 4-2-3-1 formation. Soren Russell starts in goal, his second start for the side since that 6-0 defeat against Little Rock Rangers. At right back is the former FC Dallas man Ty Reynolds, 2 centre-backs of Jack Monty, the captain, and Blake Schmeckel, who makes his first start for the team, and Gabriel Hernandez makes it 3 consecutive starts for the Chupacabras at left back. 2 holding midfielders of Dylan Culbertson. You'll be able to hear from his dad and co-owner Sean Culbertson at half-time, alongside Isaiah Guerrera, the number 24, who makes his first start since signing for the Chupacabras last week. Ahead of them in the attacking midfield role is Jacob Fiol, and then a front 3 of Carson Braden Beeson and Sebastian Romero. On the bench, Jaden Shell, Julian Estrada, Ryan Anderson, Connor Desmond, Ian Arenza, JT Demidio, Jair Ruiz, Giovanni Montedesco, and Milton Lopez. A good lineup, I would say, for the Chupacabras, but fantastic to see Jacob Fiol in there. I know me and you are both big fans.
Certainly some familiarity with that lineup. I think the only place that you see plenty of change, and it's similar from match day 1 to match day 2. In match day 3, you have plenty of change in that back line, and a lot of that comes from the fact that, yes, you've given up 10 goals in 2 games. Something needs to change there. But, of course, Ty Reynolds finding his spot, understanding that he is one of the most dynamic players on this roster. You will certainly see plenty of him in the attacking half, despite being in that right back position initially. But that 4-2-3-1 is very much consistent in how they press. You'll start to see plenty of black jerseys pushing forward as well. As for Mississippi, plenty of fluidity in the formation that you'll see from them. They've run a back 5. They can switch to a back 4. Really, they're trying to find their identity as well, Elliot. So expect to see some variability from the players in white as well. But also, if we've learned anything from our time at Ron Post Stadium, you can expect to see some goals at this point.
I certainly hope so. Mississippi Brilla kept a clean sheet in their opening game of the season, a 0-0 draw against Hattiesburg, but shipped 3 last time out to Louisiana Crew. Chupacabras in a little team huddle before the start of the game. They know how important it is to get a win here. Will it be third time lucky, or will Mississippi Brilla have travelled all this way to spoil the party? An exciting game in prospect for us this evening, and a big thank you for joining us on sportsengine.com and on the McKinney Chupacabras YouTube channel. So it looks like it'll be Mississippi Brilla to get us kicked off and underway, with Robertson Luco, the man in the centre, ready to take this kick. João Pereira, who we have down potentially playing right back, also maybe down as playing on the right wing. He's way over onto our near side, right up on the halfway line, and potentially playing on that wing. But then again, last time out, Daniel, they played in a 5-2-3 formation and also a 5-3-2 formation. So who knows? But what we do know is we're finally off and underway.
Plenty of variability, like I mentioned. It'll be interesting to see how these teams change tactics as the game goes on. Obviously, we saw a very different McKinney Chupacabras side in the second half. Not necessarily formationally, but in the midst of all the chaos, we're able to find their offense. Mississippi Brilla still finding their formation as well, but also shifting so many players around. As you mentioned, we already have a great example with their number 10 in João Pereira. So plenty of different things to see as this game starts to develop early on.
Indeed, it's Brilla just keeping a bit of possession. We just saw a few moments ago, though, I mean, right from the kickoff, that high press immediately being triggered by the Chupacabras. I know it's something that they try and train on in the week, and they look to do going forward. Already they're starting to try and chip the ball forward here, but the referee's pulled it back for that initial foul. Good refereeing there.
Definitely some great defensive play there, too. And you saw how much space that the Chupacabras had in the midfield. Certainly something exciting for them moving forward, especially with how much space Jacob Fuel in particular is going to enjoy. Now they're in not necessarily a relatively dangerous position, kind of an awkward and very central location, but there are always those set-piece opportunities. And again, as we've talked about, I almost sound like a broken record at this point. It's not necessarily that initial ball you got to worry about, Elliot. It's the chaos that comes from it. And the second or third opportunities is where the Chupacabras want to capitalize here.
That's Carson Burden to take the free kick. It's a little bit too far out to shoot, but you never know with Carson Burden, who chips it towards the far post. A little bit too far for Monty, clashes with the goalkeeper. But all good for Conlon, who gets back up to his feet.
Great effort. It looked like there was two runners just ahead of him. Looked like they were going for a redirect back to the opposite side of goal for a clear chance. Great effort by the goalkeeper for Mississippi and Sebastian Conlon for meeting that ball before any dangerous opportunities could come for the Chupacabras.
Yeah, it does seem as if Jean Pereira is playing on that right wing, but potentially playing as a right wing back in that 5 at the back formation for the side. It's risky play here from Brilla, who are just trying to play it out from the back and try and find an avenue out of that defence. They've found it here with Sebchir, who starts to come forward. Into the midfield it goes. They're looking for a route down the right, but Romero blocking it off. It's a loose pass. Pereira can't keep it in. Throw into Chupacabras.
I think it's really important, though, because almost just watching Elliot from our view of the booth, to lose Joao Pereira on that touchline on the near side where fans can see him. So all the more important for, say, your left side of your defensive effort for the Chupacabras to actually keep an eye on him. Very difficult work for Gabriel Hernandez, who is somebody who wants to get forward, that has to keep tabs on him on that far side. But so long as you do keep an eye, you can definitely take advantage by that body that they don't have in the build-up to try to initiate that press.
Well, excellent ball there for Reynolds over the top for Carson Burden to chase on that right side. He was so effective there the other night. I had his dad reach out to me actually on Instagram in the week just to see if he could get the clip of his son scoring that goal. So I thought I'd have a look on his profile, Daniel, and I noticed that Carson Burden's actually got a history with the free kicks that he scored the other night, just slightly off to the right and bending it in to the goalkeeper's near post. I'm sure he will have another opportunity like that again tonight, and I'm sure he would like to score that once again for his McKinney hometown.
He certainly looked like it, and I cannot get over the celebration he had shortly after, especially with the momentum that goal gave them. It really looked like the Chupacabras were going to have an opportunity to complete what would have been a very, very dramatic comeback, but I think that goal is gonna hold for quite some time as a special memory for sure.
Yeah, we're only 4 minutes gone in the game. No real chances for either team if you are just joining us. Soren Russell back in goal for the Chupacabras. We mentioned the other night about Raul Torres, and as much as his leadership is there, maybe lacking in that height in a few moments. Soren Russell, 6'4", certainly a more towering presence.
Absolutely, and that physicality, again, it's always going to pay dividends, especially at this level. But it's the mental side that I think I'm more interested in, Elliot, and that's just because some of the mistakes we've seen early on, especially from the McKinney Chupacabras, have really, really hurt them. I haven't really seen any physical domination that you would initially expect. So it's that mental side of the game that I think you have to be very wary of early on in the season.
Yeah, Brilla in possession, playing it back into the centre. Now towards the left, into a central position now as they try and find a route to goal with Lobo. Sends it out wide. Reynolds has got to make sure his man doesn't come on the inside. He does so, and Russell claims that easily. His first real touch of the game.
Well done, too. It's a difficult read. You never know with an in-swinger, because if there's the slightest deflection, then you're finding that danger coming right into your net. So all the more reason for you to not only have the reaction, but to have the great positioning to be able to secure that ball. I do find myself continuing to look at this Brilla formation, Elliot. It really does look like there's a bit more solidity in the fact that there's a back three in possession and a back five as players drop. But that back five is almost lopsided because, again, you look at their number 10 in Joao Pereira, he really isn't coming back perhaps as far as he should. So it's almost an uneven back five. Right now it looks like a back four, but you'll see him drop all the way back, and then in possession they'll keep that back three. It's a very interesting but fluid formation that Mississippi is offering the Chupacabras.
Yeah, and the Chupacabras, I think, have kind of noticed, at least Jose Burciaga, because they're trying to get the ball down the left. We saw that a few moments ago with Hernandez and with Romero, and here they come down the left again, trying to find a ball in behind. A little bit too heavy for Romero, but you see the idea. Pereira there wasn't quite in position, was on the wrong side of his man. That was a little bit of a better ball, and maybe if the keeper hadn't read it as well as he did, Romero would have been in.
It really is going to work both ways, and that's going to be such an interesting battle to watch throughout this game, is how much does Mississippi want to push the envelope? How high does Pereira in particular want to get to have an influence on the offensive half? They have 4 white jerseys up front with 1 right there in the middle. That's 5 total. But he also has defensive responsibilities that force him to get all the way back. They're certainly hoping to create some kind of opportunities offensively, but to what degree do they expose that back line, specifically down that left side, is up to the Chupacabras.
Yeah, player down here for Mississippi, Brilla, I believe that's one of the forward players. Mackinson Binder, Jack Monty came flying out from his right centre-back position towards this near side to clear the ball away. That's one thing you'll always have with Monty. He might not always be the cleanest of tacklers, but he'll certainly get there, and he'll certainly try and put that tackle in no matter what. You
mentioned that physicality, Elliot. I don't think you have to worry about it, but it's these mistakes that hurt you.
Yeah, and Binder there not really taking up on the opportunity that Blake Schmeckel had presented to him. He tried to come out, did Blake Schmeckel wearing number 26, but couldn't quite get to the ball. Allowed Brilla in behind, and, well, I think that is an opportunity missed. This could be an opportunity taken by the Chupacabras, racing away. A trip comes in there. The referee says no foul, so Burnham will try and chase it out on that right side. And it'll bobble out. Not quite, actually. Brilla keeping it in down that left as they try and scamper away themselves. Lose possession on the halfway line. Chupacabras will retain it.
Just the absolute epitome of what these Chupacabras have experienced early in the season. They are dynamic and quick moving up the field, as they are right now.
Yeah, with Hernandez, good movement. It's a poor ball back to him, and now he's out of position. Sebastian Romero isn't in that position, but brilliantly fought across there by Jacob Fiol, coming from his attacking midfield position to fill in at left back.
But then a slight lapse in focus completely disregards all the good work they do. So you almost saw that seesaw back and forth. You saw the mistake early on in that defensive play by Blake Schmeckel. You get the transition opportunity with a beautiful run of play, and then a slight lapse in concentration completely sees you give that ball right up, Elliot. There's just no fluidity and consistency for this Chupacabras, but the second they're able to put it together, the talent is there, and certainly they'll be able to give these fans something to cheer about when they are able to put it together.
Yeah, still no real chances gone in the game. 8.5 minutes gone, 0-0. I think this will suit the away side so far. They haven't really come under much pressure. They've looked comfortable on the ball, and whenever they have tried to get the ball forward to one of those forward players, they've looked quite dangerous.
It is impressive how wide open Mississippi is, but it pays dividends, and now they've got some space to play with the overlapper.
Pereira playing it down the right, looking for Binder. He gets there. Schmeckel toes down under the tackle. It's stabbed in, and again, Blake Schmeckel maybe losing out in that 50-50 once again. Against the stronger 22-year-old Binder.
That's where you see that physicality start to play, but again, a very risky sliding tackle near the box. It's difficult to see with that end zone, but Schmeckel really having a couple runs of difficult situations that he's been put in, and in both situations, it seems like Mississippi's gotten the better of him.
Yeah, Gabriel Hernandez, ball in his hand, down this left. I've been incredibly impressed with Hernandez. Against Little Rock, he actually started on the left wing. He's then got moved back to left back in the previous game, and he's starting there again, but he's always looking for the opportunity to come forward. But his work rate is so high, it means he can do that and still be able to get back into position to defend.
It's all trial and error, and honestly, it feels like a fun game of Football Manager, at least the way I play it, where I'll just chuck some players in some different positions. But honestly, that's what it takes at some point, and as long as you're the player and you're getting that opportunity, I don't think they're going to raise too much of a fuss about it.
Excellent work from Fiol, and a brilliant crossfield switch to try and find Carson Burden. He has done. Braden Beeson's in the middle. Will he pick him out? Comes on his left boot, tries to play the ball into the box. It's cleared away. Comes back out to Fiol, who started that move, into Beeson on the edge, and that's cleared away over towards this near side. But good work from the Chupacabras, and signs there of what they want to try and do. With Romero coming forward now himself down that left. Got the assist the other day for Beeson, but just ran out of room there down this near side. And it'll be a throw into the away side.
That is a clear example of how you can attack this very high defensive line that Mississippi is trying to play, specifically on the touchline. If they're going to raise those fullbacks or wingbacks or whatever you want to call them down that wing, you're going to have so much space in the counterattack. All it takes is a great ball, and that's exactly what we saw. Now, the only thing missing from there is perhaps a great right boot of Carson Burden, because he would have loved that opportunity to slot that cross in.
Here's Fiol. He does put the cross in! And the Chupacabras lead! it's that man again! And inside 11 minutes, it's 1-0 to the Chupacabras.
Carson Burden was looking for the weak foot coming down the right side. Didn't quite have it, but the possession stays alive with great pressure and a great defensive effort and offers the opportunity for Jacob Fuel to use that left foot and slot in what was a beautiful ball to give the McKinney Chupacabras a 1-0 lead here at Ron Post Stadium. And it starts with that initial defensive pressure. It starts with pushing Mississippi Brilla back, using that space they're giving him on the wings, and then it continues with some consistency in pressure. And again, it's not that first opportunity, but that second opportunity that sees McKinney reap the benefits of those efforts.
Well, like I said, it's that man again. He scored the historic home opener in the historic home opener. Braden Beeson, a real poacher's finish there. You can't teach that. You just have to be born with that ability.
And you know, I've got to bring it up, Elliot. It's almost a similar situation where that cross came from against the Denton Diablos for that first goal last weekend. But we couldn't quite tell who got that final touch on that goal. We're giving it to him, but on this instance, it's as clear-cut as it looks. A beautiful goal played in and a beautiful finish from their number 9.
Well, I actually spoke to Braden post-game on Saturday, and I said, look, we've looked at the replays. We're not 100% sure it's yours. And he claimed it. He said, I got a touch. He said he got a touch before the defender got a touch. He's having it down as his. I spoke to Ed Puskaric after the game as well. He said, there's no way we're not giving it to Braden. So as far as I'm aware, McKinney Chupacabras number 9 got that opening goal on Saturday, as Brilla looking for that equaliser tonight to spoil the fun once again as a sliding tackle comes in and it goes out for a throw-in.
Wow, 2 great defensive efforts on that play. I believe it looks like it's Jack Monty who got that final touch with that great sliding tackle to slot that ball outside, but perhaps Jake Schmeckel was the one who got that last touch, or excuse me, Isaiah Guerra was the one who made that initial sliding tackle to take away that drawback ball that would have seen a shot on goal from the middle. Very dangerous opportunity for Mississippi, but there's that consistency that fans would have wanted to see last week for the McKinney Chupacabras and that defensive solidity that they just showed on that play.
Yeah, Brilla starting to find a way forward here. Binder linking up play into the middle for Lobo. Out wide he finds it. Chung coming inside on his right boot, puts the ball into the box on Russell down the throat. Binder lurking, but not quite there in that instance.
A great opportunity for the Chupacabras to breathe a little bit, and a great opportunity going back to our goal conversation, Elliot, to say, hey, if they're going to give Brendan Johnson that goal against Man U in the Europa League final, we'll go ahead and give Braden Beeson his goal on match day 2. So special goal for the number 9 on that occasion, and certainly could play into an important one tonight for the hometown team.
I was wondering how long it would take into our broadcasting adventure together. You didn't mention it on Saturday, but you've mentioned Tottenham Hotspur this evening. They're your team, and I've got to say, look, if you're mentioning Brendan Johnson, he started out at Nottingham Forest. They're my team as well. That works for me.
Hey, that's why we make a great team, Elliot. There's connections all over the place.
Well, the Chupacabras will be hoping for silverware this season. All the players before the season began, they were aiming for the championship. They're yet to win a game in their opening 2, but here it could be third time lucky. They have got a good opportunity here as well inside the opening quarter of an hour to double their lead, something they haven't done in any of their previous 2 games. The cross comes in with the left boot, and it's a poor free kick and straight down the throat of the goalkeeper.
A slight different setup than they had on that initial free kick that they had from a similar position as well. This time I was really focusing on number 21, Dylan Culbertson, who was lined up in the middle. He ended up running near post last time, or to the right side of the keeper on their first set piece. That time, it looked like most of their bodies were going to the keeper's left.
Here's Jacob Fiol looking to put that ball in again. You know what? I've got no idea what foot Jacob Fiol is. Is he left? Is he right? Because either way, he's managing to make things happen.
I'm glad you don't, because I was going to draw comparisons to the fact that maybe Carson Burden couldn't get the cross in with his weaker foot, but Jacob Fiol did. But then I was like, wait a second. That cross with his left was gorgeous. So he very well could fool me, whether he's a righty or a lefty.
Romero trying to put his body in amongst things. Here's Isaiah Guerrera. He does exactly that as it spilled towards the halfway line. Here we see Ty Reynolds, the right back, playing almost as a holding midfielder. So so far as he come across the field. We mentioned before we came on air potentially about those kind of inverted fullbacks. That's more than inverted. That's playing as a central midfielder. But the referee doesn't pull up for a foul there on a challenge on Guerrera, and that allows Brilla to run in behind down this right-hand side. Luco gets there, but Blake Schmeckel is equal to it. And he may have had a few testers in the opening few minutes that he didn't come out on top of, but he wasn't going to let him pass them.
Blake has absolutely seemed like he's come into the game, and honestly, that's what a goal will do for a defense too. It's not necessarily solely on the defense to be consistent all game long. If you're not getting goals, there's always going to be some tension. It's much easier to get into the flow of the game when you know you have points on the board.
It's a lovely flick by Lobo, and an even better tackle there from Ty Reynolds against David Chung on that right side, and an even better ball forward as the Chupacabras spring to life. Into the centre of the field they go, looking for an avenue. Down the left side they go. Sebastian Romero maybe should have come to the ball, but the referee's pulled it back, and it's the first yellow card of the game for Santiago Bustamante. We had so many yellow cards on Saturday, we lost count. That's the first of the night.
Santiago Bustamante going for the technical foul, if you will, a bit of the dark arts trying to cut that transition in its path. But great effort on the part of the McKinney Chupacabras to try to slot that ball in to number 4, Sebastian Romero down the left side. Just not quite enough juice, but no worries. You still get the yellow card and you still maintain possession. But I think you have to go back to the initial part of that play. Ty Reynolds, he does so much for this team, that ball included, just getting a little away from him. But he can play in that central role. He can play down that right wing. He can play in the defensive half, and he can certainly play in the offensive half. That's just what you have to do with some of your best players, and his pedigree as a part of that FC Dallas system for so long is certainly something that you'd like to see Jose Burciaga use as a head coach, and it seems like he's using him because he is all over the field.
Yeah, there's a number of players, aren't there, in this team, and you'd expect that. Being in the DFW Metroplex that are actually from FC Dallas. Ty Reynolds being one of them, who's just out of position at the moment as his man tries to go past, but that's a good sliding tackle. The referee is given, I believe, a goal kick, not a corner, with a sliding tackle there coming in from Jack Monty, but good recovery play.
It is a very impressive recovery play, like you mentioned, Elliot, but I do want to say something, especially for some of our viewers that may be watching from Mississippi. It is a credit to the Brilla for actually getting into these one-on-one opportunities. I think the Chupacabras defensively are doing a great job. We've seen a lot of last-ditch slide tackles to be able to slot that ball outside, but Mississippi will find some solace in understanding that, hey, we're getting in those one-on-one positions. It just takes one win to potentially see a great opportunity at goal. Yeah, and a bit of a misplaced pass there. And here come Brilla looking for that attacking position. They're 35 yards out from goal. The shot comes in, deflected out wide. João Pereira picks it up, looking to get past his man. Cuts on his left boot. It's a weak cross, spilled out towards his near side. Sebastian Romero battling against, tries not to put the foul in. Helps his man back up to his feet, throw into Brilla, and they're already getting buzzed back underway. They're desperate to get that equaliser because the longer it goes on at 1-0, the more confidence the home side gets. Number 8, George Jukovic, trying to see that ball out. He still had a ways to go before that ball was going out. Manages to get it, and now Mississippi maintains their possession, still on the attack. Binder, good work, finds Jukovic in a central position. He'll have a shot from range with his left boot. Comfortable one for Soren Russell, but the shots are starting to come now. They are, and they're taking their chances. You wouldn't call those high-quality chances. They're certainly far outside the box, but honestly, just given the history of Ron Post Stadium, the amount of goals we've seen in its very short history, just one match against the Denton Diablos, and what you've seen tonight, my goodness, 3 or 4 of those goals we saw in the first matchup here at Ron Post Stadium saw some absolute worldies from outside the box. So, hey, why not see if that magic in Ron Post Stadium still exists with some of these shots on goal? Yeah, just a bit of overzealous play there from Jack Monty. I mentioned to you just a few moments ago about Jack Monty and how if he sees a chance to get the ball, he'll go for it, even if maybe he shouldn't. And I think that was an instance there. Kind of got dragged out of his position, took his man down. He was just so desperate to get the ball and get it forward. But it's presented a good opportunity for the away side. And it certainly offers a great thing for a defense, so long as you understand that he does have those tendencies, right? The second you see Jack impose his will on any kind of midfielder, right, you want to see that aggression, but you also don't want to be exposed. So as long as you're a teammate that understands, hey, Jack might come out of position to try to win a quick ball and start a transition, and you can slot in and take his place and offer him some support, then it can be a really, really great asset. You just call that an aggressive defensive player. Yeah, here come Brilla. They didn't do much with that free kick. They chose to try and play it down the left flank, which they've done so now in a crossing position, and the cross does come in. Oh, now it's a bicycle kick effort from Binder.
on either side of Son Russell, that would have been in. But instead, went straight down the throat of the goalkeeper and an easy save.
You even hear an audible gasp from the fans here at Ron Post Stadium. What an opportunity that would have been. Just shortly after I mentioned that there's some magic here at Ron Post Stadium for some absolute worldies, and then we get a bicycle kick effort from the Mississippi Brilla. They are certainly seeing a spell of momentum right now. It's important for the Chupacabras to, one, maintain their consistency, maintain their focus, but also just have an extended spell of possession, which is something you haven't seen much today given the fact that they're up 1-0. A lot of their opportunities have come in possession.
I will say the Chupacabras certainly look like they're a team that are playing without pressure today. Completely different maybe to that first 30 minutes where there was so much pressure on them to get that first ever goal in the club's history. That pressure's gone today, and I think you can see that, the way they're trying to move the ball forward, even the way that they're defensively set up, even in those few hairy moments they've had, they've recovered quite well. Absolutely,
and I misspoke, not necessarily in possession, but they're playing transition, and it speaks to the fluidity you're talking about. The only way you really play in transition is with a sense of confidence, right? Because you have to move the ball so quickly, and it's a lot of not necessarily premeditated plays or passes or formations, but it's just quick twitch intuition on how to approach, and boy does it play well in possession and in pressure.
Beeson just doing maybe a little bit too much with the ball, but that real high press. I mean, if you have a look at the field now, they're almost playing a 4-1-4-1. Such is the pressure that they're trying to put onto that Mississippi defense, who don't look overly comfortable with the ball. Maybe the fullbacks do and the central midfielders do, but the two centre-backs of L.A. Ansel and Ari Baird don't look the happiest when they're in possession.
And with Jack Monty, I almost wanted to use the bull sing red kind of metaphor, but with that front line pressure, you really want to see sharks out there, and the second they smell that blood, that's when they collectively, the 5 black jerseys you saw, need to attack, but they also have to maintain discipline when Mississippi does get possession like they do now.
And here they are with George Djukovic, who puts a through ball in. Romero with a big tackle, deflected shot. And that'll be, referee gives a goal kick, not a corner. So it must have come off the Brilla forward. But again, they're just trying to get those shots off. And at the moment, they're struggling to kind of penetrate that 18-yard area.
And that's great if you're a McKinney fan. Certainly frustrating for Mississippi. But again, you can hang your hat on. Yes, you're starting to get some shots on goal, and yes, in transition, you are getting those one-on-one opportunities. But so far, just 3 points on a Friday night for Mississippi, 0 points, or 0 goals, rather, on a Saturday night as that ball goes through the uprights.
Well, if you are looking to get tickets for this Saturday's home fixture against Hattiesburg or any of the other remaining home fixtures, you can do so via Sports Illustrated Tickets, who are the official ticketing partner of the McKinney Chupacabras. All Chupacabra home games at the Ron Post Stadium are on sale now at McKinneyChupacabras.com. Incredibly good atmosphere here this evening, especially for the USL too. You mentioned to me off air, Daniel, that you're a well-travelled person in the USL. You know the divisions relatively well. How does this crowd compare to ones you've potentially seen in the USL Championship?
At this level, it's wildly impressive, and I think that's a credit to the city of McKinney and also the ownership group in really finding a brand that follows the. I'll go ahead and pause right now for you, Elliot, as that ball reaches the wing on the far left side.
Yeah, Reynolds battling away, trying to force his way out of that defensive area and rampaging down the right. This is an incredible run by the 21-year-old. Finds his way just out of room in the end as it's poked out of play. But he's travelled there by around 50 yards or so. And those fans that you were just speaking about will absolutely love that.
Absolutely. And like I was saying, it's just a credit to the community and the way that this team is built around it. I think one thing that Michael Hitchcock, one of the owners, spoke heavily about is that the success of this team is going to be dictated by the support of the community. And early on, seeing over 4,000 fans at Ron Post Stadium, something that isn't very common at this level in U.S. soccer, is wildly impressive.
Throw-in comes in a crossing position. It's a left-footed hook towards the far side. Actually, an excellent takedown there by Pereira. And he fires it towards the halfway line and finds Luco, who tries to fire it out to the left. It's deflected, and we were saying a few moments ago that the Chupacabras did well to come forward by 50 yards or so. Well, they managed to turn their maybe a bit of a hairy defensive situation into a promising attacking one.
Two very different ways, right? You see Ty Reynolds just absolutely blitzing down the right side, dribbling that ball all the way down. Instead, on the other end, you see João Pereira, just one quick twitch move and a beautifully placed ball all the way down to midfield, creating that opportunity for his team. But they are still frustrated trying to find some way to break down this Chupacabras defense.
Yeah, Bustamante back to his defensive counterpart, Ari Bear. Forward ball, challenge comes in and it breaks for Braden Beeson, the goal scorer on the halfway line. Fiol rinses it out wide there for Sebastian Romero, who will get there, but João Pereira equal to him down that left side. Will Romero win the ball back? Well, unfairly, says the referee. And again, maybe just a bit of overzealous play there from Pereira. But a really good battle, actually, between Pereira and Romero. Neither of them are particularly large figures. Romero at 5'10", but quite a lean man out there, whereas João Pereira stands at 5'6", but maybe a bit more muscular in the upper regions.
Just wildly impressed at his ability to get back. It looked like Jacob Fiol had a really great opportunity to slot that ball. Yes, it comes a little wide, or at least wider than I'm sure he would have wanted, but the opportunity and the recovery pace from João Pereira, I'm not sure how long he'll be able to last being able to go up and down, but so far it's been so impressive on the part of that forward.
Yeah, David Chung just trying to have a look in behind there. Really interesting doing my research on David Chung. An incredibly fascinating player. He's down as a forward. They announced him as a forward on their Instagram feed, the South Korean. This is his third season now at Mississippi Brilla. Started left wing back in the last game, and he's almost playing that today, playing as a left wing back and then as a left winger. Can't quite make out the position he's trying to play, but he's certainly trying his best to give Ty Reynolds a hard time down that left.
A lot of flexibility and a lot of fluidity I think you're going to see at this level, and that's certainly something that's played its role just in the first 3 games that we've seen from the Chupacabras, and certainly early in this season.
Yeah, absolutely so. Well, a word then on the Chupacabras substitutes bench, because they certainly have a few more attacking options this week. They still are missing the injured Omar Holness, the only player that isn't actually officially registered yet to the team, still waiting on international clearances, Paul Kossi-Hassi. The rest of them are either not in the squad or on the injury table. But they certainly have, like I say, some striking force on the bench, including brand new signing announced at 5 p.m. today, Giovanni Montesdeoca.
Montes de Oca.
Montes de Oca. I promise you, Giovanni, we will get that correct. But former FC Dallas man, and he's travelled all around the USL, and the USL Championship, USL League One, and now in USL League Two. And he's back home in Texas.
Certainly a special opportunity for him to come back home, play a role in a team that is just in the infant stages. And I think that's one of the most exciting things for this team and for these players, is their opportunity to be a part of something so historic.
Brilla trying to create an attack now as they try and find their way back into the game. And maybe that fluidity that they were having maybe about 10 minutes ago has started to dwindle out. It's quite difficult to sustain. And you mentioned that they were kind of in the ascendancy, and the Chupacabras just had to kind of marshal that. I think they marshaled it quite well in the end.
Absolutely. I think you need to break up that fluidity. You don't want to have any kind of opportunities where they can build momentum and continue to keep that pressure on. You need to nip it as quick as possible, and there are several ways to do that. I think one of the biggest ways is to maintain the ball yourself with possession, which isn't necessarily what we've seen from the Chupacabras, but it's basically just bringing down the tempo of the game, which I think is where the Chupacabras have done a great job. A couple fouls here and there, a couple opportunities in possession, trying to do what they do best in building up, but also just nixing a lot of those one-on-one opportunities and big momentum movers.
Beeson finds a ball down his left for Gabriel Hernandez. It's a little bit too heavy for him, but all 6'2" of Braden Beeson. He's been really holding up the ball just incredibly well. He did that last game. He even did it in the first game against Little Rock, and they're starting to play to his strengths now, as I'm sure they're working on the training ground.
Yeah, certainly plenty of things to work on the training ground, just given how early we are in the season and how early this team is in their development. But you're starting to see so many of those relationships start to play out on the field, and that's exciting, because the talent, like we've mentioned, has never been an issue. So much talent in black jerseys out there. It's just a matter of putting it together. Yeah,
that high press again, just forcing mistakes from that Brilla lineup, but that's wonderful work there, I think, from Djokovic, who starts to stride forward. It is indeed him who has the ball in the central midfield area, sprays the ball out to the left, looking for Lukoa, and he does so. He's got to take on Reynolds, cuts in on his right boot, back onto his left, just loses the momentum slightly of that attack, but it has allowed both sides to get players into the positions they need. And Luko cuts the ball back into the centre, spread out towards his right side. Pereira picks up the ball, reintroducing that battle of him and Hernandez down that right. Recycle play, still with Pereira. He forced away from goal, and good defensive work in the end from the Chupacabras to force their team back. But the ball is chipped forward, a wonderful ball from Pereira. Schmeckel forced to put it out wide. First corner kick of the game.
Schmeckel not even giving it a chance to slot anywhere near his 6-yard box. Kicking that out for a harmless corner kick at this point. But again, a lot of opportunities off set pieces that we've already seen by the Chupacabras in this early part of the season. We'll see how they handle it today.
It'll be a left-footed in-swinging ball, and it looks as if the players are going to be rushing in from the edge of the box. As the ball is whipped in, goes over the top of the defence all the way to the far side. And the Chupacabras escape for at least a few more moments.
It's a great opportunity to ask you a question, Elliot. Like, did you know the McKinney Chupacabras have an official cocktail in collaboration with Lockwood Distilling called the Frozen Fang? It is incredible, just as incredible as the result we're seeing so far for McKinney home fans. It's a frozen bourbon margarita in Chupacabras Blue. Stop by Lockwood Distilling in historic McKinney to get your Frozen Fang. Did you know that, Elliot?
I didn't know that. You know what? I'm not massive on margaritas, but what did you say?
This is different, though. This is a frozen bourbon margarita.
Frozen
and
bourbon
it's blue.
margarita.
So honestly, you
I mean,
might
look,
have to
yeah,
try
it just wins already because it's blue. But yeah, you know what? I might have to give that a try. Depends what the result is here. And the result at the moment is 1-0 after 32 minutes, with Dylan Culbertson holding it up in the midfield. Goes down, and the referee gives a free kick in the opposite direction to the Chupacabras, with Brilla now running down the left, with Luco tries to find an avenue, and that's a bit of a heavy shoulder barge there from Isaiah Guerrera, who we've barely mentioned, but I want to highlight him here. I know he's just made committed a foul there, but I'm incredibly impressed with him in that holding midfield role. He's really helped not just dictate play, but just allow that solidity in that defense.
I think it looks, we talk about leadership, right? And it's not necessarily vocal leadership. It's just somebody you can depend on. And especially in a holding midfield role, you need to be the foundation, both defensively and in parts in build-up as well. And I think Guerra has done a great job in that midfield so far. And I think that was a great example right there. You mentioned, hey, he might have just gotten a foul. But in fact, Mississippi has been trying to play fast, quick restarts after quick fouls. They're trying to keep that tempo up. That foul slows things down and can be so frustrating for an opponent to deal with. And Mississippi is clearly frustrated by the opportunities or lack thereof that they've been getting.
Yeah, Ari Bear finds Ali Ansil into a central position, 40 yards out from goal. It's through, or looking for the foot of Luco, who came off the back of that through ball. It was Binder, in fact. My apologies there, but just a heavy touch allowed it through for Son Russell, who, after 33.5 minutes, has only made that one save from that overhead kick.
Nothing too impressive, and again, yes, definitely would have breathed a sigh of relief not to be on somebody's highlight reel after the bicycle kick attempt. But credit to Jack Monty, he was involved in that play just there. He's been solid in his return to the pitch for the McKinney Chupacabras, and that's something that can be a breath of fresh air for the fans watching as well. And there's that aggression that he's shown too.
Yeah, here's Carson Burden, who's been relatively quiet in this game so far. He's not really had much of the ball. A lot of the possession for the home team has come down the left side, where Hernandez and Romero have been popping up, and Culbertson coming way out to the left here. You know, you mentioned to me, will he be the central midfielder that pushes up today in the absence of JT Demidio? And that indeed seems to be the case.
It's very fluid, and that was something I noticed in last match against the Denton Diablos. It looked like one of those holding midfielders was playing a big part in putting pressure high up the pitch when they weren't in their solid defensive half. And that's certainly playing its role with number 21, Dylan Culbertson, playing so high up the pitch right now. But it also just puts a little bit more pressure on that back line. They've got to worry about one other offensive option that could potentially slot in behind. It does limit your options in build-up for sure, but I think they're comfortable, again, like we mentioned with the play of Guerra, to be able to play his role as a solo midfielder in build-up.
A long kick here from Russell, trying to change it up a little bit, moving away from that fluid style. Like you said, it's so transitional. I mean, this Burciaga lineup can do many things, as can the lineup for Mississippi Brilla. It's never really one set formation. Perhaps, like you mentioned earlier on Football Manager, it's kind of, you kind of put your pegs in play and that's kind of what you go with. It's so much different in real life. As realistic as that game is, this is so much more different. And if, you know, the Chupacabras want to go long, they can go long. If they want to play it out from the back, that's what they can do.
They're just more nuances. And there was a dangerous opportunity just cut off by who's been the man of the match for me so far, Guerra, number 24, just in the midfield. And now he's coming all the way around. We talk about filling in for players that are out of position, perhaps. Well, Ty Reynolds is playing in the midfield right now, and there's Guerra filling in at that right back position. You need that versatility. And that's something that you're seeing plenty of tonight, and that's why you're seeing a lot of success for the Chupacabras so far.
And Hernandez going for a cross-field switch. A little bit short there. I think maybe a bit too much confidence running through the veins of the Chupacabras, number 12. And it's picked up by Bustamante, who sends it out wide for David Chung, who's not really got forward too much in this game as much as he probably wanted to. A few tackles being nicked in there, and it comes off Carson Burden and goes out for a throw into Brilla on the halfway line.
Yeah, that crossfield ball, a bit bold. It would have been impressive if you had seen David Beckham pull that ball off, let alone a player at this level in American soccer. So credit to the opportunity to see that from a vision perspective, but perhaps maybe a slower build-up would be preferred by Jose Berciaga.
And he'll certainly, of course, be the happier of the two managers at this stage in the game. He was incredibly animated in the previous fixture. He seems a bit more calm, and I don't know whether that's just because it's not as warm out there, so we're not seeing as much sweat falling off his brow. He's certainly patrolling his area, but certainly looks a little bit more composed.
There's a sense of comfort in the weather, you know? Sometimes when you have a bit of cloud cover, some cooler temperatures, and those winds that you mentioned, it calms you down a little bit, but I'm sure another goal, or perhaps giving up a goal, will fire him up pretty quickly.
One of Blake Schmeichel's shin pads has just gone absolutely flying out of his socks, so we'll have to get that fixed in a few moments with Brilla back in possession again, coming down this right side. That left side of Brilla and the right side of the Chupacabras is getting very much neglected so far this evening, which is kind of the opposite of what happened the other night. Carson Burden was getting the ball constantly, and tonight he's just having to play the waiting game.
I think that was an important possession that we just saw. It was perhaps the first opportunity or first misstep from the captain, number 18, Jack Monty, trying to play that volley, not completely, but missed it and slightly deflected it into a dangerous position for Mississippi. But backing him up was his co-center back in Blake Schmeichel, who was there on the scene to be able to clear it. It's that kind of, hey, I've made a mistake, but I've got that support to help me out, because there'll always be mistakes, Elliot. That's something we haven't seen in the past. Typically, you'll see that first mistake from the Chupacabras back line, and they're completely exposed. But to see that they've got support coming from multiple different directions must be a sight to see for head coach Jose Berciaga.
That was an excellent quick throw there from Braden Beeson. Spotted Jacob Viol in the centre, and they've managed to get the ball out towards that right side with Carson Burning, who goes for a cross-field switch. A push in the back there then from Braden Beeson, who started that move off in the first place. It'll be a free kick as we approach the final 10 minutes or so of this first 45.
They're certainly trying to expose those wide areas, and rightfully so, because that's what Mississippi Brilla's formation caters itself to if you can transition quickly. But they did have an opportunity with Isaiah Guerra slotting in that midfield, but now Mississippi's got the opportunity.
Indeed, they do, with Binder putting it across goal. Well read there by Jack Monty. Luco was at the back post, ready and lurking, but it seems to be that front two of Binder and Luco in that sort of 5-3-2 formation that are causing trouble at the moment. But it's the second corner of the game for Mississippi Brilla. It'll be the left-footed option once again. I believe Djokovic is the one that's gone over to take this. The Serbian whips it in towards the centre of the area. It's gone all the way through. Reynolds will try and get there first ahead of his man. Does so, and manages to keep it in play and get it out of that dangerous 18-yard area opportunity. And already we're starting to see, against Little Rock, they were poor at set pieces. Against the Denton Diablos, they were poor at set pieces. Tonight, albeit the balls into the box haven't been as much, have had as much quality, but they certainly look a bit more composed in those situations.
Better, though. I think they were better against the Denton Diablos in the set-piece situations. Certainly better on offensive set pieces with some of the wonder goals we saw specifically by Carson Burden. But as long as you're seeing improvement week to week, especially this early in the season, especially in the infancy of a brand new club, I think that's something to smile about. And right now the fans are seeing all that hard work start to play out on the field tonight at Rompo Stadium.
Another free kick opportunity. We'll see if it's the curse of the commentator there. With George Djokovic over for it. The Serbian, 6'1". This is his second season at Mississippi Brilla. 10 different nationalities in the lineup tonight for the away side. Only one American, 2 Frenchmen in there. We've got a a guy from Uganda, Portugal, Spain, South Korea, Haiti, Colombia, Argentina. It's honestly one of the most well-traveled squads I've ever seen at any level.
I'll sound like such a nerd, but it reminds me of those puzzle SBCs you had to do in the old FIFA Ultimate Team games where you have to pair 10 players from 10 different nationalities on one squad. It was always so difficult, but it seems the Mississippi Brilla have been able to figure it out.
Djokovic puts the ball in, well headed away by Jack Monty, only as far out as the 40-yard line. It's hooked up into the air. Jack Monty comes out again, battling for it, leading from the front, the captain, and it falls back. It's a missed communication there between Culbertson and Hernandez. It allows Pereira to whip the ball all the way across. Someone should have been there for Mississippi Brilla, and nobody was.
There's a great example of all the things we've talked about over the last 2 games. Is it's a miscommunication that tends to lead to errors. And again, it's fine if you miscommunicate, so long as you have somebody that's able to back you up. In that case, a clear cross attempt is made by the Mississippi Brilla. And fortunately for McKinney Chupacabras fans, it falls harmlessly. But what a dangerous opportunity, perhaps the first or second most dangerous opportunity they've had in the first 45.
Absolutely. Guerrera heads it out towards this near side. He'll go up for him again. He's only 19 years of age and stands at 5'11", but you certainly wouldn't think that with the way he's kind of led that midfield in this first half. That's excellent work, though, from the Brilla number 21. Tackles going flying in as we approach the end of the first half. Braden Beeson, the goal scorer, chips it towards Carson Burden. An excellent ball, brings it in on his left boot. We know exactly what he's going to try and do with it as he fades away from goal, puts the ball into the box. And a little sign of frustration from you there, Daniel. You're moving your arms around. Talk me through.
It's the second time that we've seen them look to the flanks, which is completely fine. But in that scenario, you had Dylan Culbertson wide open in the middle of the field. And yes, that is such a dangerous opportunity for you to have options both ways. You limit yourself once you get to the wings because you want to get in those one-on-one opportunities, which is totally fine. I think you'll take Carson Burden to get an opportunity at goal any day of the week. But I just think that they're overlooking the midfield now in an attempt to get to the flanks too quickly.
Ball over the top, so Russell comes out. That's good goalkeeping and good communication as well between himself and Jack Monty. Beeson holding it up once again on this far side as he's trying to bring the ball more forward into an attacking position for the Chupacabras. The referee not happy with where Angelo Sempegia took that throw-in, so pulls him back forward. A bit of respite there from what has been a bit of a flip-flapping last couple of minutes.
Plenty of cheers from fans right now. I think they're enjoying it at the moment. And why wouldn't they? I think we saw a couple of things on that point in particular. You mentioned the good communication we saw between a back line and a goalkeeper. I think that's something you haven't seen much of early on in this season, so great to see on the Chupacabras part. And then that quick transition, but also the hold-it play, which is something we haven't seen plenty of early on. So a lot of good things to look for, not only in the last 5 minutes, but certainly in the first half for the home team.
Sempegia gets it out wide, brings it away from Romero, really well done, then loses his footing. Romero pounces in, and this might allow the Chupacabras to come forward with Fiol, bundles past his man, looks for a ball in towards the box, just is cut out in the end by the Frenchman, Iliancil, and he starts to charge forward with it. Gets past Romero's flying tackle and now puts the ball over the top. Monty, though, equal to it. This game is starting to lose a bit now of its original fluidity and starting to get a little bit scrappy, as seen there with that yellow card from Joao Pereira.
I'm telling you what, Elliot, I'm having a really hard time looking for somebody I'm most impressed with on the Chupacabras side early on, but I think the consistent thing that I'm seeing in this lineup is the spine is looking absolutely fantastic. You look at the play of Jack Monty, the captain, at center back. Absolutely fantastic. Isaiah Guerra, we continue to talk about him. We just drew a yellow card. Number 24 has been great in midfield. And then Jacob Fiol. You talk about the assist he had with the left foot, incredible, and the ability to slot out balls quickly in transition has been fantastic. They just need to hold this 1-0 lead at the very least before halftime.
Well, that's exactly what happened last time out, wasn't it, against the Denton Diablos. They took the lead, they were pegged back, they missed a penalty, and we said at 1-1, just get into half-time, take that draw in, and then they conceded pretty much instantly after we'd said that. And there's been 1 minute of added time indicated at the end of the first half, so they've just got another 60 seconds to get by.
I'm mixing the commentator curse. I'm mentioning it. They're going to get to halftime 1-0, Elliot. They just have to hold and learn from the mistake they made last match.
Here come Brilla trying to spoil that halftime party and that halftime team talk of Jose Burciaga. I think will be very much of the same again going into the second half, but I'm sure it'll be even better if the home side can get a second goal here with Culbertson on the right side, trying to navigate his way through the midfield. Brings it back to Fial, and maybe just a bit of game management here from the home side.
I just put my hands up. I think they understand the assignment. The assignment is get to halftime right now. They're slowing the pace down, understanding that they just have to maintain possession. If there's a clear-cut opportunity, then for sure take it. They are pushing up the wings right now, and they do have some space down there if they can make the pass, but no risk necessary. Bring it back to the keeper, and let's get into the locker room.
Exactly that. I think Jose Burciaga will be certainly a happier man going into half-time this week in comparison to the previous two games. But I certainly don't think he'll be a happy man. I think he believes his team can certainly do more with tonight's showing so far.
You can always do more, certainly, and I think Gabriel Hernandez would disagree with us on getting a halftime 1-0. He is bombing down the left side right now.
So, there we go, into the goalkeeper's arms. Referee hasn't pulled for halftime yet. We were informed that it was in minutes of additional time. Looks like he's playing 2 minutes here, and a bit of a miscommunication there from Monty and Schmeckel, which is expected, but Romero coming back into a defensive position to help clear the ball, and on towards the halfway line it goes with Culbertson. Misplaced header there, as now the away side come forward into the centre. Guerrera, foul by his man, and the referee gives a free kick, which should be the last action of the first half.
So you would think. Some free soccer being played right now at the moment. Referee giving a bit more than the expected 60 seconds of extra time. There, a hand goes up, perhaps on this next kick. We'll head to the locker room, and that we do.
And there we are. That is the half-time whistle. Well, that was a bit of an anticlimax to what was a thoroughly enjoyable first 45 minutes of action here at the Rompo Stadium. It was that man again, Braden Beeson, in the 11th minute, steering home a Jacob Fiol left-footed cross to give the Chupacabras the lead. Work to do for Mississippi Brilla in the second half. But as the half-time whistle goes, it's Chupacabras 1, Brilla 0.
Welcome back to Ron Post Stadium. It is halftime between this USL League 2 matchup between your McKinney Chupacabras and the Mississippi Brilla. 1-0 is your score in favor of the home team. I'm Daniel Esteve. Elliot Stockdale will be taking a break this halftime, but we have two very special guests to talk all things soccer here on a beautiful night in McKinney, Texas. And our first guest is the man with the eyes down on the pitch level, a member of our broadcast team, Braden Wright. Braden, it's great to, don't get me wrong, great to see the game from up in the booth. You get to see so much, but you don't quite feel the game like you do from your perspective down near the pitch. I'm curious, we're talking 4,000 plus fans down there. Talk to me about the ambiance that we're seeing at Ron Post Stadium tonight.
Oh, you could hear every single one of them. They were loud. They're very good with the team. Like, they were supportive, and they were there. You could notice it. I think it actually did mess up Mississippi a little bit with everything that was going on. You could see there was a lack of composure there towards the middle of the first half. And I think for our team, the McKinney Chupacabras, they settled in perfectly. The high press was working great, and then they got that goal. And then you could see that they didn't settle down quickly enough. 5 minutes after that first goal, you could see they were a little nervous. And then after that, they just really settled in, really took control of the game. And I really like what I've seen from the McKinney Chupacabras, but I think you have to thank the fans for that. Like, they showed out, and they are here, and they want to be known. Yeah, it's certainly something that you don't often see, at least at this level of American soccer, but my goodness, is it a unique and special quality that the McKinney Chupacabras have. Have you gotten your hands on one of those foam claws? You know, I did in the very beginning before any of the other fans were able to walk in. I wanted to steal some, but they said they're for the fans. they weren't for me. That wasn't included in my package. See, I didn't get one either. And honestly, we riot if we don't get those foam claws. But that's certainly something we're looking for in the second half. But on the pitch, I guess, is the most important thing we should be talking about. 1-0 lead. You've got to smile with that, especially given the way things looked against the Denton Diablos just a week ago. What did you see on the first pitch that you liked, and what do you want to see more in the second half of? Jacob Fuel. Yes. I loved what he was doing. He is so calm on the ball. He looks like a magician. He had a through ball. It was just so effortless. Everything he was doing, you could just tell how smart he is on the ball. His decision-making is top tier. His assist was absolutely beautiful. But that's offense, right? Defense wins championships, and Blake Schmeckel has played an absolute masterclass back there in the back. I mean, without him, they have very good forwards. They're very talented. You can tell they're quick. You can tell they're strong. Schmeckel doesn't care. He's like the honey badger. He doesn't care. He's going to win every single ball. He's won every single 50-50. His slide tackles have been timed perfectly. No fouls. Beautiful soccer. And I just love what we're doing offensively, defensively. In transition, we're doing good. Defensive transition, I think, should be something that we need to work on at halftime. There's a little bit of a gap in there in the middle, but that is something that can be easily fixed for the Chupacabras. I just think it was a beautiful, beautiful first half. I think we're starting to see that development, which is the most important part for a team that's so early. Elliot and I have talked about it all evening long, but you know, it's fighting words around the DFW area, Braden, to say this, but that's very Nico Harrison of you to say defense wins championships. So I'm going to let that one slide, at least for our Mavericks fans out there. Certainly paying its way with a 1-0 lead for your McKinney Chupacabras. Braden, we appreciate you coming up to the booth. Enjoy it and get your hand on some of those foam claws. And when you do, I need you to bring them back up here. I'll get 4. Because they are awesome. Unless, you know, they might be ages like 4 and under, but honestly, I'll take one all day long. And I'll tell you, every fan. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Well, we got more coming up on this halftime show. Again, 1-0 here at Ron Post Stadium. I'm Daniel Seven. Coming up, we'll have one of the many owners of the McKinney Chupacabras Football Club, Sean Culbertson, will be coming up and talking first half, second half, and more in 60 seconds.
Welcome back to Ron Post Stadium. I'm Daniel Esteva. Your score between the McKinney Chupacabras and Mississippi Brilla, 1-0 is a great score. If you're the home team, the McKinney Chupacabras celebrating, and I know one man who is very much celebrating, Sean Culbertson. Sean, you're one of the many owners of this beautiful, beautiful club that has put together already in its infancy a very special community event that we're seeing play out tonight. Just how special has this been for you?
Yeah, you took the words. I was going to say, how special is this? I mean, Saturday to get that crowd that we came, we didn't get the 3 points, but it was the excitement was there. The look in the players' eyes after seeing all the kids want pictures and getting autographs. I mean, it felt like a true pro environment. To come back out here in midweek and have a big crowd again, go up on top early. I mean, this is what we did this for. You know, the city of McKinney is showing out that they can back their teams, and the boys are. You know, right now we've got a result. We got to come out in that first 5 minutes of the second half. You've seen what we've done the last 2 games, so. We've got to see what we can do here.
Sean, I got to stop reading off the script. I keep stealing all your lines, you know. But, hey, I'll tell you what. One of the biggest lines and one of the things we continue to say, perhaps not on script, but something that we saw on the lineup sheet is the name Dylan Culbertson. We've been calling it all night long. You've got that added family that plays out in this. How special is it to watch your kid go out there and play, especially in front of all this support?
It's fun, man. It's obviously a proud moment to see him out there doing his thing and living through his dreams, and it's equally as nerve-wracking because I kind of move with every he's in a new role tonight, and I'm kind of moving with every space he's supposed to take up and press, but it's fun, man. And, you know, even more fun than having him out there is my oldest daughter is out there interning and helping run the show on the block party. So it's cool. Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a fun summer. You know, they're older. We don't get that a lot these days. So
it's a complete family environment. It's funny because you look around the United Soccer League. I mean, I was just talking to the family over at Dallas Trinity. It's very much a family endeavor in that ownership group. And it really adds that extra level of family environment, something very special that you guys can create memories for. But does it offer any more difficulty in that? Maybe that's a better question for Dylan, but I'll ask you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I try to, he's here to play, and I try to stay out of that, you know. I don't try to ask too many questions. I don't try to get involved. I'll show up, and I'll bring breakfast every other Friday for the boys. And he treats me just like the other guys, not like Dad. So we try to keep it as professional as possible. When he wants to talk, we'll talk. But I'm just happy he's coming back. I'm happy that he looked at this and was so excited about the turnout that he's thinking like, oh, hey, maybe I should come back more summers. Because the original thing was for him to go explore the country and some other USL2 platforms. But, man, it's hard to top what we've got right here.
Yeah, it really is. And that's something that's been said throughout the entire top to bottom run of the McKinney Chupacabras, all the way down to the community itself. Just how involved everybody is so impressive. And I'll go back to something that we talked about on our last halftime show. And this is something that Michael Hitchcock said, one of the other owners of the team. He said that the community is going to dictate our success because this team belongs to them. Now, I rebutted him, if that's even a word, and I said, well, the opportunity to dream is very much there in USL with promotion and relegation now. And in a metroplex where you do have FC Dallas and you do have other top teams, Texoma's not far down the road. How much do you allow yourself to dream of building this up into something truly, truly grand and special?
Yeah, I'm on the fence. I'm excited about what we've got here, and then that USL2 or that USL promotion and relegation thing comes up, and suddenly we look and go, we could be on the brink of having something real here. We still don't know what the platform is with that. We don't know if USL2 is even involved in that, but maybe it is. And then, you know, before Wrexham got all their fame and, you know, with Ryan Reynolds, like I was actually at their grounds before they sold that club and saw kind of how everything was in despair. And to see that community, round up around that team and where they are now. Obviously, they threw some money behind that, but that dream is there, man. I mean, I'm just like any other boy, like owning a pro franchise. This was semi-pro. It was going to be really fun, and then suddenly it became, oh wow, this could be real. This could be real fun. So it's exciting, you know. But we'll go one step at a time, you know. I think we've got 9 out of 10 things. We got everything checked except that field. I just wish we could play on some real grass in a real stadium, but who knows, man? Maybe that's coming.
It's certainly coming. It's certainly coming, especially if the community is going to dictate your team's success. I mean, they've been at the forefront, and they're already showing out. So it breeds success down the line. I can also tell you it wasn't long ago I had Jeremy Allenball, the USL president, on my podcast, Wembley's Game, and he talked a lot about promotion and relegation. Championship, USL League 1, USL League 2, that's involved, and that's coming down the pipeline. The big thing, too, is USL Championship will be credited as a top-tier Division I U.S. Soccer League on par with MLS. So you think about the future. Maybe I'm dreaming too much at this point, Sean, but it's easy to manifest something like that when you see a turnout like you have tonight.
Yeah, no, hey, man, I'm right there with you and dreaming every once in a while, too, and that would be amazing. I mean, I can't believe that we're even in the position to talk about that. You know, when we started this, we weren't in that position in August, and then suddenly the announcement comes out. So this becomes a bit more, you know. And with the crowd, I don't know what the numbers are tonight, but it's a nice Thursday crowd out there. And you can see the support, you know, win or lose, they were there, you know. And I think the boys are putting on a better show tonight, and I think we'll continue to press on for 3 points tonight, and that's only, you know, what winning brings. I mean, that's only going to bring some more excitement. So
that's the secret sauce right there.
Absolutely.
We've got just over 60 seconds. How do we secure those 3 points?
Hey, look. So if you've been a fan of ours since the beginning and you've watched the first 2 matches, you know what we got to do for these next 10 minutes. We got to lock down these next 10 minutes because the last 2 matches, it was over after 10 pretty much. Yes, we made a valiant comeback against Denton, but the heads were down after a while. But let's come out real strong in these 10 minutes, lock down, stay connected defensively, and then also connect offensively. But they'll do it. I mean, the boys are pumped out. They'll get it done.
Got a feeling a worldie from Dylan Culbertson might help the case there pretty well as well.
You'll hear me up here if that happens.
We will, and honestly, these are pretty soundproof up here. I almost missed the opportunity to open up a window and listen to the crowd, but we've still heard them on some occasions, and I guarantee we will hear them if number 21 puts one in the back of the net. I guess 24 would be pretty good too. But
any of them.
Sean, we appreciate the time. Thank you so much for coming out and spending time with us. It is 1-0 with just over 60 seconds left before we begin this second half. The McKinney Chupacabras leading the Mississippi Brilla 1-0. We'll be back in just over 60 seconds.
The second 45 minutes. You didn't really have a half time there, did you, Daniel? You were busy talking away.
I never do, Elliot. And honestly, I say, oh man, I could use some food. I'm talking about cookies. I'm talking about cocktails. And here you are. I don't know where you are. Maybe you are taking on some of these cookies. Speaking of which, calling all cookie fans, Mary's Mountain Cookie downtown McKinney is the exclusive home with the new quarter-pound Chupacabra cookie. Come get one of the cookie truck or at the shop downtown, where it is always buy 6, get 2 free. Let's go McKinney Chupacabras. They'll take buy 1 goal, get 3 free if they can. McKinney Chupacabras trying to extend their lead as the second half is set to kick off.
Well, a double substitution is in the offing for the home side. Giovanni Montes de Oca is ready to come onto the field, as well as Julian Estrada. Now, I must say, Julian's been really, really excited to be playing. He's He was signed quite a few weeks ago, but they've just been waiting for his international registration to go through. He's Mexican, but played in Germany in 2021 and 2022 in the 5th and 6th tier. So they've just been waiting for his international clearance. That's finally gone through, and he'll be absolutely ecstatic to come onto the field. Have we got any more substitutions in the offing? Potentially so for Mississippi Brilla as well. This could get quite interesting, Daniel.
There's been so many of these interesting discussions that we've had early on in the season, not necessarily because of injury, not necessarily because of coaches' decisions, but players starting to get acclimated to the United States, players starting to get their registration in the United States to even get the opportunity to play. But as they start to come back, you'll just start to see more exciting players find their way into the fold. Hopefully those connections also play dividends into this team that's starting to look like it's beginning to gel here.
Yeah, so we definitely know one of the substitutions. Julian Estrada has come on for Sebastian Romero. That's a like-for-like change, but it looks as if Gabriel Hernandez... no, in fact, he's come on for...
Dylan Culbertson is your other sub.
There we go, thank you. So Julian Estrada on for Dylan Culbertson, and Giovanni Montes de Oca has come on for...
Blake Schmeckel.
So I think that's actually Julian Estrada into the back four. Giovanni Montes de Oca into the forward line. In fact, it looks as if Isaiah Guerrero has dropped back into the defensive position for Blake Schmeckel, with Julian Estrada then taking up a position in midfield and Giovanni Montes de Oca taking a position in the midfield.
Elliot, dare I say a formation change with McKinney Chupacabras. It looks like they've elected to almost mirror, to a certain degree, what Mississippi's doing. A back three, certainly extending it quite a bit. Oh, there you go. Start to see that back four start to play out in shape. It looked for a second like a back three could be at play for McKinney, but it looks like they're going back to their tried and true back four.
So George Djokovic has been replaced by Marco Astorga at the start of the second half, and Mackinson Binder has been replaced by Dennis O'John. So those look like-for-like changes. And here come Mississippi Brilla trying to score right at the start of the second half. The tackle comes in. The Brilla bench furious. They wanted a penalty there. Referee unmoved. Dangerous tackle, but must have been a clean one.
Very, very dangerous, but my goodness, I would say if it was able to be pulled off, it'd be incredible, but from the referee's perspective, it was able to be pulled off, and what a way to introduce yourself. What a play on that back line from the new sub to essentially take away a goal-scoring opportunity for Mississippi.
David Chung trying to create a goal-scoring opportunity. It trickles behind just about for the third corner kick of the game to Mississippi Brilla, but they've certainly come out on the front foot. A little bit more pace and energy in their forward lines now that Dennis O'John is on the field, as well as Marco Astorga.
Elliot, we're still getting situated with formations, but it looked like Isaiah Guerra was the one who made that sliding effort, which will just add to his impressive resume so far on the night.
It's a poor corner in from Brilla, a missed opportunity there with potential defensive frailty still lurking around for the home side. But they've certainly come out the blocks flying. And I tell you this now, the coach for Mississippi Brilla, Michael Azira, would certainly have told his team that Little Rock and Denton Diablos both came out for the second half with flying colours and made the most of their opportunities. And I'm absolutely certain that Michael Azira would have said exactly the same to his team at halftime today.
And perhaps that's why they make these defensive changes, right? If you're the McKinney Chupacabras, the only thing I'm finding a bit of worry about is now you have a player like Blake Schmeckel off, who had a shaky initial start to his first half, but finished off very, very strong. Now you have Isaiah Guerra, who was one of the dominant forces in the midfield.
Ball comes in. It's again, a missed opportunity for Brilla, but please do continue, Daniel.
Isaiah Guerra, who had a fantastic effort in the midfield where he can really dictate his own pace, now playing on that back line where he is forced to continue those quick sprints with balls over the top. That's a difficult position to be in. Obviously, he had that great opportunity with the sliding tackle and a great defensive effort, but you take away one of your formidable forces in the midfield, which is just difficult for me to comprehend. But perhaps number 2, Julian Estrada, the new sub, who's now playing in that position Guerra was playing in, will serve them well at a holding role.
Gabriel Hernandez beaten down the left, and here come Mississippi Brilla. Ball comes in, Monty heads away, falls into the midfield. Montez de Oca is an interesting one. He's down as a forward. He almost is playing kind of in that no man's land between the midfield and the forward lines at the moment. And like we've mentioned, it might be a change of formation for the Chupacabras, but I'm very interested to see how he kind of fits into that as Carson Burden starts to get his first few touches of the second half. Plays an excellent ball down the right for Braden Beeson, who keeps the ball in place. Level with the 18-yard area. He tries to put in the ball in the box where he normally would be lurking, and he tries to win the ball down this right channel with the Frenchman up against him. And Braden Beeson does get past his man and wins a corner kick. It's such tenacious work.
Unbelievable effort from a player who's usually on the receiving end of some of those positions. Braden Beeson typically and already today scoring a goal off a header off a beautiful cross from the wing. Now he finds himself in that wing position, and it wasn't necessarily the flair you'd hope to see out there, but you do see him continue to put plenty of pressure on the Mississippi Brilla, and now you get yourself, or rather earn yourself, a great opportunity off the corner.
Yeah, left-footed corner comes in. It goes to nobody in one of those black shirts. Go out all the way to the other side for a throw in which Jacob Fiol trotting over to take it. I don't know if he has a long throw in his locker, but it wouldn't surprise me knowing his array of talent.
We've seen some great throw-ins early on in that first half. I don't expect that you'll see one of those today. I think it's just getting the ball back into possession, back to feet, and seeing if you can recycle this into a great opportunity.
Down that left again with Fiol, who's popping up all over the place once more. He'll try and take on his man down that channel. He'll somewhat squirm his way through with the ball, and then Romero shoved off it. But the Chupacabras will keep possession with a throw-in.
Our member of our broadcast team, Braden Wright, at halftime, talking so highly of Jacob Fiol, and rightfully so. He's been absolutely impressive today. Again, that spine of this Chupacabras lineup has been so dominant.
Big tackle there coming in from Guerrero to no avail, and now here come Brilla down the right-hand side, down the left-hand side, should I say, as the ball comes across. An excellent sliding tackle there from Julian Estrada. Hasn't really had many touches of the ball since coming on at the half-time interval, but an excellent interception there. But it's another corner kick to Brilla.
I'll tell you what, that's one way to introduce yourself to your new fans here at Rompo Stadium. Julian Estrada with an absolutely beautiful way of cutting that cross into the box off. If he misses that, or if he mishits that, it's leading to a great opportunity for Brilla. But a great defensive effort. You still have to play more defense now, though.
As the ball comes in, flashed across that 18-yard area. Warning signs are blaring. But the Chupacabras, again, escape. But that was much better.
Absolutely, and I think that's what you've seen on most set pieces today, Elliot, at least in comparison to the first two matches that the McKinney Chupacabras had in this young season. Is there was always a sense of nervousness on these set pieces, but now you're seeing those initial crosses being put out of a dangerous position so that they can regroup, find their formation, and either start a transition or get set for a second run of potential danger coming in from their opponents.
Coming in from the right side this time with the left-footed angle. It's some burden to get across there to keep it in. Referee says, doesn't actually give a decision at all. He'll go with that decision though, and that's a free kick. Carson Burden's furious. To me, it looked like the ball had gone out of play. Soren Russell spills it, and that was nearly a goal from not just nothing, from absolutely nothing. It looked as if the referee was going to give a free kick, which he did. Free kick taken quickly. Russell comes out and claims, spills it, and on the second attempt, gathers it in.
Yeah, we've had goals given up on set pieces. We've had goals given up because of miscommunication. I think we could have chalked that one up to a goal given up on confusion because it seemed like there was some confusion off the initial foul call. People get lulled to sleep, and then you see an opportunity on goal. Fortunately, the McKinney Chupacabras get away scot-free, and now they're back on the offensive turn.
Yeah, it looked as if the ball, at least from our position, and we have got an excellent sort of bird's eye view up here in the commentary position. It looked as if the ball had gone out of play originally. The referee and the linesman, neither was sure what the outcome was, but then gave a free kick, and it was just all over the place. 6s and 7s, as they would say, at the back for the Chupacabras. But again, maybe showing a bit more maturity and a bit more know-how to kind of come through that and now patiently play out from the back.
Here's your opportunity to regroup right now. Very interesting to see Jacob Fiol really in a roaming position. He's not necessarily as central as he was earlier in this matchup. Now you see him floating into various positions, and in his place, you have Giovanni Montes de Oca just taking up that entire McKinney ISD Texas logo you see right there in the midfield.
Yeah, Julian Estrada playing in that holding midfield role. He's popping up all over the place trying to get the ball forward, and as the ball does go in there, I must say, the offside flag did go up. But testing times once again. I think Chupacabras, Jose Burciaga at the helm, is deep in conversation at the moment with Coach Jesus Vazquez. Interesting note, I quite like this, as I have just this week myself launched a father-son business. Jose Burciaga Jr. is the head coach, with Jose Burciaga Sr. alongside him in the dugout, which I quite like. I mean, that's a very interesting dynamic.
Anytime you can keep it in the family, it's pretty nice just to share those memories together, and also to have that streamlined sense of communication. Now, you have to be very aware of who you're working with and not hurt those personal relationships. But so long as you're in constant communication, similar to these players on the field, it can make for a pretty special relationship. And I think you see that with Dylan Culbertson and his father, Sean Culbertson, who we had at halftime, who's an owner and player relationship that we have with the Chupacabras.
Yeah, Cadence Culbertson as well. Good shout out to her. She's part of the social media team and was managing our block party that we had last Saturday. So very much a family feel down here at the Chupacabras. And if you are interested in getting tickets for this Saturday, you can do so online now on the McKinney Chupacabras website for the home fixture this Saturday against Hattiesburg. There'll be a block party tailgate starting at 5:30. The Last Stand will be our band this weekend.
Ooh, well done, but perhaps just a bit unlucky. Jack Monty again getting not Jack Monty. It looks like Jacob Fuel right there in that midfield position, getting a bit too aggressive. Thought he got away with it initially, but now you have a very dangerous opportunity for Mississippi. I'd say it's a bit too far, looking at roughly, 28 yards from goal, 29, 30 yards if you're looking at that angle. I expect this ball to be crossed to that back post, but you never know. This is one of those tricky positions where if you just hit it the right way, it could test the keeper. And so far, Soren Russell, the goalkeeper for the McKinney Chupacabras, has not truly been tested beyond that one potential bicycle kick we saw in the first half.
Yeah, Mississippi Brilla, for all their shots at goal, haven't really tested the goalkeeper. He's a shot stopper and hasn't stopped many of those so far this evening. But like you say, potential opportunity for a free kick here. Not to tempt fate, but I do think this is maybe a little bit too far out for an opportunity at goal. But Soren Russell still sets up that four-man wall. Ty Reynolds just watching Luco over to his right shoulder. Two men stepping up for this opportunity. It will be the right boot, and it goes way over the crossbar. And what would that be in American football terms, Daniel?
Good for 3 points. Just on a Friday night, though, Elliot. Just on a Friday night.
So a goal kick to Chupacabras, which they've taken. Schultz to Estrada, driving forward. Fiol back into Monty. And this is the kind of possession play that they've looked a little bit more comfortable in tonight.
And I think that's where you do see the benefit of having a guy like Isaiah Guerra on that back line. He's so great with the ball at his feet. He just offers some sense of comfortability in build-up that the McKinney Chupacabras certainly want when they're trying to slow down the pace in a game that they lead 1-0.
Well, we're hearing a substitution is being prepared for the Chupacabras. Sebastian Romero will be leaving the field with Milton Lopez to come on. Another signing that was just announced today alongside Montez de Oca. And he'll be coming out on the left wing. Very little is known about Milton Lopez, I must be honest. I haven't had the opportunity to speak to him yet since arriving at the Chupacabras, but we'll see if he can announce himself onto this stage here at the Rompo Stadium. He's wearing the iconic number that Carlos Tevez used to wear at Manchester City. So, I mean, if he brings anything like that kind of flair to the Rompo, I'm sure the fans will absolutely fall in love with him. Well, 58 gone on the clock. 1-0 the score still to the Chupacabras. This is the longest they've held a lead. They only held a lead for around 4 minutes last time out, and that lead could be evaporating here as the man goes in on goal. And Soren Russell comfortably saves it. Maybe not the testing strike that Dennis O'John maybe perhaps would have wanted in that position. But I think Isaiah Guerrera just did enough there to put him off his shot.
I think you saw great effort on two different parts. Obviously, after the mistake, you want to be able to recover. Isaiah Guerra did a good job of putting pressure, forcing a very difficult shot from a composure perspective on that opportunity. But Soren Russell's positioning also made for a very easy save. So comfortable in the end, but early on, very difficult for the McKinney Chupacabras to deal with.
Excellent ball from Fiol. Finds Burden driving inwards on that left boot. Tries to poke a ball out. Finds Fiol once again. 35 yards out from goal. Tries to spin past his man. The referee unmoved. Gives no free kick. And now Brilla can start their own attack themselves with Ustamante there. Big tackle coming in from Fiol. Referee says no foul. I like this. The referee's just allowing the game to go. He's happy with a big tackle or two.
I think Jacob Fiol was relieved that time because he did get the foul call on a previous possession, and he was a little surprised by it that time. Perhaps a bit more of a crunching tackle, but gets away with it, ball first as far as the referee is concerned, and now the McKinney Chupacabras can maintain a good spell of possession.
Here's Reynolds down the right, looking for Braden Beeson. Gets there, goes down under the tackle. Referee, again, unmoved, but corner kick.
Looked like the offside judge actually hesitated just a little bit. It looked like a flag was going to be waved, but not quite. And now some miscommunication on the part, or rather confusion on the part of Mississippi Brilla, thinking that they've got the ball, but rather it's actually a ball for the McKinney Chupacabras. And our new man, Milton Lopez, getting ready to come on as a substitute.
Yeah, they may wait for this. I believe it's a corner kick. It certainly is. Sebastian Romero over to take this one. For me, it looked more like a free kick, but the referee, of course, went against kind of what his linesman believed and gave that corner kick to the Chupacabras. Only their second of the game, and Sebastian Romero, who got that assist for the historic home opener, prepares to take this with an hour gone on the clock.
I've got a feeling he wants assist number 2 on this corner kick.
Yeah, the Colombian is over it. Left-footed, goes towards the far post. It's then hit by Montez de Oca over to this far side. Carson Burden will hit one, and that was always curling away from goal. And a couple of real miss-hit shots there from the home team.
Just a bit ambitious, I think, and perhaps a bit of worry for some of the hometown fans as that ball was played out quickly into plenty of space, but fortunately the referee blows the whistle for what is expected to be a goal kick, and then our new substitution.
Yeah, Milton Lopez preparing to come on. That corner kick may have been Sebastian Romero's last action of the game. No fourth official board here at the Rompo Stadium yet. Hopeful to have that in place over the weekend. Maybe just a bit of confusion here about who's meant to be leaving the field. And here we go, over on that far side, Sebastian Romero does leave proceedings to be replaced by the new man, Milton Lopez.
Great opportunity for Milton Lopez to introduce himself to a home crowd that was just wrapping up. A little cheer led by the ownership group. Definitely getting fun and rowdy for the over 4,000 fans expected to be here at Rompo Stadium tonight. And they're getting treated to a good performance so far. I think they'd hope for a bit of an insurance goal here. But really quickly, Elliot, Donut NV McKinney brings the party to you with interactive mobile food trailer. They make hot, fresh mini donuts right before your eyes, customized with your favorite toppings, and pair them with delicious fresh squeezed lemonades, available in 7 refreshing fruit flavors. It is perfect for sporting and school events, birthdays, weddings, anything you want, you name it, it will make your day sweet. You can follow them on social media at Donut NV McKinney for weekly updates on where they will be. I am getting hungry.
I'm about to say, Daniel, can you stop, please?
I'll tell you what, but we'll just go ahead and say I'm hungry for another goal. So we'll see if the hometown team can fill that appetite.
Well, Reynolds trying to make that happen. Montez de Oca falls it for Fiol, shoots, and it ricochets through to the goalkeeper. Almost like they're trying to whet an appetite of yours, teasing you, but not quite delivering the goods as of yet. But certainly, this has been a slower start to the second half, but I think the number of changes, especially at half-time, there were 4 changes in total. We've just seen another one happen, and that's certainly not going to help the fluidity of the game as the players are trying to warm themselves into proceedings.
As commentators, as neutrals, and certainly as Mississippi Brilla fans, you don't want that. You don't want this to be, I don't want to say boring, but a relatively uneventful early stage of the second half. But if you're the McKinney Chupacabras, especially the staff and players, this is exactly what you needed coming off of a couple rough games where second half did not go well.
Jump to the far post, and that's a misplaced header. Surely should have put that back into the 18-yard box. Oh, João Pereira arriving late from that right wing. The ball sent towards the halfway line for Montes de Oca to try and handle the ball and bring it down. And now it falls to Braden Beeson in a central position, tries to skim it across the turf there. Back into the centre it goes. Very scrappy play from both sides as Reynolds then gets barged to the floor. And then a bit of afters then, a red card. Ty Reynolds sent off for the McKinney Chupacabras for hitting back out at his man. I believe that was Dennis O'John on this near side. It was a big tackle that came in, shoved to the ground was Ty Reynolds, and he looked to potentially hit back at his man there. Certainly it'll be a yellow card for Dennis O'John, but Ty Reynolds, the 21-year-old right back, the first ever signing for the Chupacabras, has shown his marching orders, and he looks absolutely devastated down there. Big boos from the home faithful. Reynolds distraught down on the ground. Dennis O'John still down, but that is a game-changing moment with 25 minutes remaining on the clock.
It's as cliche as it gets, Elliot, but it's always the second person. Ty Reynolds clearly not happy with what was said to him as he hit the turf. Strikes back, appeared to make contact with the face, and the referee quick to a decision to give a red card to what could be, if not one of, the most talented players on this McKinney Chupacabras roster. Now you talk about an uneventful first half or an uneventful start to a second half. It's about to get fairly eventful if you're the McKinney Chupacabras now playing down a man.
Well, this is the exact kind of time in the last game where things all of a sudden burst into life when Eno Renza scored that penalty. He's still on the substitutes bench. Ty Reynolds now being sent down the tunnel, being consoled by Omar Holness. I know Ty quite well. I've spoke to him on many occasions since he signed for the club. He hasn't got a bad bone in him. He is one of the kindest players on the team, always happy to do his media duties, always turning up before he needs to. He was here at the ground at 4:20 today, an hour or so before the players were asked to show up, just to say hello, just to make sure everyone is okay, and he's always the last to leave as well. So no one in this stadium will be more disappointed or frustrated with that red card decision than he. But he will be suspended for Saturday's game against Hattiesburg, with coach Jose Burciaga now deep in instructions with his players. And I think we could see an onslaught here from Mississippi Brilla for the next 25 minutes or so as they try and take this historic home win away from the Chupacabras.
And it just opens up so many opportunities. We talked constantly in the first half about the freedom or lack thereof from João Pereira, number 10, down that right wing, to have so much room, but also play the risk and reward game of going far up the field despite having to come all the way back in quick transition. Now, in reality, they can have them as far up as they want and match numbers for numbers on the back end, and it just allow one of their most dynamic offensive players to run wild and run rampant down the wing.
The crowd is certainly frustrated down here at the Ron Post Stadium. We've got glass right in front of us here, of myself and Daniel, but we can hear the frustrations from the crowd coming through, the boos, the jeers. Not targeted at the Chupacabras players, certainly, I believe, at the referee.
And as we talked about at halftime, these are some pretty thick walls. It's difficult to hear a lot of the nuances of the crowd, and I wish we could just open up these windows and really get a feel for it. But when you do hear them, Elliot, you know it's because it's loud, and those boos are crystal clear up here in our booth.
Well, after a 2 or 3 minute stoppage there, we are ready to go once again with Soren Russell to take this goal kick.
We do have confirmation a yellow card was given to the Mississippi Brilla. Number 11 going down after Ty Reynolds' strike.
The ball comes forward, cleared away. Brilla now have a bit more room in the centre of the field. Julian Estrada looks to have moved to right back from his holding midfield position. He's got familiarity has Estrada with playing on the fullback. He's played left back and holding midfield, and now he's playing in that right back position, which for the football fanatics among us, it's quite nice to see a number 2 play right back.
We mentioned him, Mississippi Brilla, David Chung, number 7, flying down that left wing. He's going to have a lot of flexibility on that end as well to create some havoc for Mississippi. Keep an eye out on the orange boots down there near the 40-yard line.
Good free kick taken, good tackle then coming in there from Milton Lopez. He gets his first real touch of the ball, then drives past his man down the left. He's made up by 20, 25 yards here. He's got a couple more men to beat, goes down under the tackle, wins a free kick. And that is exactly what Coach Jose will need from his players as the second half goes on. As Brilla push forward with that man advantage, they need players like Milton Lopez to pick up the ball, drive forward by 30 yards, and get them in an attacking position from a set piece.
Individual effort is going to lead to collective success right now, Elliot, and that's such an important focal point for the McKinney Chupacabras. Yes, they are down a man, but as a collective, if they can understand that they have to stand together, all the mental games have to come out of play. They have to be one unit and take their chances when they can come, but be disciplined in that run. That's the only way they're going to find success with 10 men with 21 minutes left to go in this matchup.
Beeson hooks a ball down the right channel, finds Burden, gets there, puts the ball in with his right boot, across goal. Captain Conlon equal to it, and then goes down. And it's a yellow card there for Montez de Oca for stopping Conlon from distributing that ball as quickly as he may have wanted to.
Very interesting, and a quick yellow there.
Down the left it comes for Brilla. Looking for that run, finds Dennis O'John. Getting booed from the crowd, gets past his man in a dangerous position, tries to flick the ball in. Jack Monty pulls up. But it will be a corner kick to Brilla.
So John involved in that altercation with Ty Reynolds, also playing on a yellow card. Definitely not getting any love from the Ron Poe faithful here at Ron Poe Stadium.
20 minutes to go. Corner kick to be taken. It's another poor one towards the far post. And look, we try and be equal on this commentary broadcast. If we have any, of course, Mississippi Brilla fans listening in, we appreciate you, but we have to be honest. Brilla have to sort out these set pieces. That was their 6th corner kick of the game, and they've not tested McKinney on any of them.
And David Chung, you'd expect with the amount of talent that he has and the amount of impact he's had on this game early on, that he would be able to put in a pretty decent ball. And yes, there were some great balls put in the first half, Elliot, to Mississippi's credit, but they have been dealt with very well and very handedly by the McKinney Chupacabras. But right now, you have to smell blood in the water and understand you've got the advantage right here. And you're playing, yes, in a hostile environment here at Ron Poe Stadium, but it is important that you continue to create opportunities. Possession isn't going to be enough. You certainly need to get into dangerous areas. Take your shots if you can, but really try to use that man advantage to your credit.
Well, Mo Sanyang, the Englishman, has entered the field. He's come on from the number 17 there, Robiston Luco. Mo Sanyang, the 5'7", described as a 2-footed playmaker with Gambian roots. The former FC Buffalo man has entered the fray, and he will certainly try and trouble defenders the rest of this evening, and he'll do so here, getting the first few touches of the ball. Estrada to beat, comes inside on his right boot. Here is Sanyang, tries to put a ball into the box, float towards the far post, hooked away by Gabriel Hernandez. Now here come the Chupacabras. Must be a crossfield ball towards the halfway line. Montez de Oca quite getting there against his man. Now Brilla come forward. Right channel. Just to hook it round the corner, can't do so. Lopez picking up the ball, trying to drive away with it, does so well, tenacious work, gets past 2 and 3 players, now tries to poke a ball down the left. Well, he's certainly made an impact since coming off the bench.
Yeah, very impressive, and again, we talk about introducing yourself to the crowd. An effort, especially down a man, an effort like that from the individual perspective is certainly going to be a good way to get the crowd on your side.
Still 18 minutes to go in this game, and as the clock goes on, the Chupacabras will start to feel a bit more perhaps confident in themselves, but not too confident, and certainly cannot be complacent at any point with Brilla having the man advantage. certainly a tense atmosphere in the stadium now.
There has to be a bit of gamesmanship that comes into play at this point, doesn't it, Elliot? I think that's a great example. Hold up play, kick the ball off the feet, take your time throwing this ball in. McKinney's going to use every nuance in the book that they can to see the rest of these 20 minutes out and to take home the 3 points.
The ball spilled towards the halfway line. Guerrero brings it down. Chested on the halfway line by Monty. Down the right channel it goes for Estrada. Gets past his man. Tries to float on the inside. Running well here is the Mexican. Still going into a dangerous position. Slide tackle. Cleared away. Bounces very awkwardly and very fortuitously. And another big tackle coming in there from Monty this time. But the referee has pulled it back for an initial foul, I think. Or an offside. If I'm being completely honest with you, Daniel, I don't know.
I'm not quite sure either. It looked like an initial foul because he was alluding back to the 30-yard line in the defensive half of Mississippi. But here we are.
Gabriel Hernandez going for that crossfield switch again. Montez de Oca lurking around, cleared away. Goes back down that left. Gabriel Hernandez, smart header down the left. Coming on the inside. Just to find a pass there is Brennan Beeson, who's playing on a left wing at the moment instead of down the middle, with Montez de Oca taking up that number 9 striker role. Ball forward. It's a long ball. Monty needs to get across there. He might not get there first. In fact, he doesn't. Opportunity to cross the ball. It goes in. Estrada clears it away. Only as far as Mohamed Sanyang on his left boot. Shoots towards goal. Smart save by Soren Russell. Had to get there. Gathered it in at the second attempt as well, with David Chung sniffing around his goal. Smart save.
A fantastic save. And you have to be so weary of two things, right? A potential shot on goal and a potential cross. So positioning is everything there, but then the reflexes to dive to your left side low. That ball was certainly slotting in to that low side. Could see this game at 1-1, but a great save for Soren Russell. And again, somebody who hasn't seen a lot of action tonight. It's difficult to stay focused in a game like that, but all the more credit to the McKinney Chupacabras, number 1.
Well, Jack Monty is down. I've been informed he cramps up around the 75th minute of the game, and it is minute number 75. Ryan Anderson stripped and ready to come on, as well as Ian Orenza, so it'll be a double change here for the Chupacabras. Julian Estrada, just a few moments ago, well, after Montez de Oca won that free kick, was just encouraging the players to calm down. Just have a moment, don't rush it. You are not in the position to do so. It's not like the other night where they're chasing the game. In fact, they're actually defending a lead, but this is uncharted territory for the team.
And it's interesting, though, because sometimes uncharted territory, sometimes that adversity actually breeds success. And the reason I say that is, if you look at this game in particular, ever since going down 10 men, maybe there has something to do with a leader of your team like Ty Reynolds going down and seeing him unhappy coming off the pitch and you wanting to perform that much better for him. But also, when your backs are up against the wall, that's when you need to be as focused and as sharp as you can. And at least the momentum of the game in the last 10 minutes, it really feels like it's gone the McKinney Chupacabras way. They've created 2 or 3 chances already. Yes, you just had the shot on goal from Mississippi, but that's just in the last 2 minutes. I really feel like McKinney, despite having 10 men, has found a great way to maintain some of that momentum they were building and almost that mundane nature of calmness they had coming into the second half.
Well, Jose's just stopped the substitutes for now with Anderson and Monty. In fact, no, Monty had run all the way on, and now he's running all the way off, and there's some frustration there from Mississippi Brilla players that it might be time wasting slightly, but we'd never accuse players of such dark tactics.
Absolutely not. A bit of the dark arts? Get out of here.
Ryan Anderson comes on to replace the captain. A like-for-like change there at the back, and then Ian Orenza is also going to be coming on to the field. Confusion all over the place here. Monty's currently off the field. Anderson's not actually on the field yet, but yet the referee is allowing play to continue. And Jose and Carson Burden saying that Mohamed Sanyang, who's in the one-man wall, has come far too close. He's not at the required distance away from where this free kick's going to be taken from. He takes it short, though, towards Fiol, who stabs it towards the 18-yard area, cleared away. Big tackle comes in there from Fiol. The referee pulls it back for a free kick, though, and maybe a little bit too overzealous there from that set-piece situation. And now the substitutions are allowed to happen. In fact, no, Jack Monty's back onto the field. It's all going on, isn't it, Daniel?
They're just holding off, you know? I believe when Jack Monty initially got hurt because of how long he was down, he had to stay off the pitch for a certain amount of time. That was certainly a rule that brought a lot of attention to Major League Soccer and hasn't quite worked its way across the pond, but now you see those substitutions taking place.
There we go. So Carson Burden, a bit more of a quiet and reserved night, but I think this is a clever substitution here. Ian Orenza coming on, still has that attacking flair, but will certainly sit in that midfield where perhaps they lost a little bit of control through the duration of this game. And Jack Monty, the captain, is replaced by Ryan Anderson, with Connor Desmond, the next man potentially to warm up for the Chupacabras, although I believe they've used all of their substitutes as the away side come down the left with Sanyang up against Estrada. Left foot cross comes in, whipped towards the far post. Should do better. That is a huge missed opportunity there. João Pereira, the smallest man on the field, didn't even need to jump for that header, just had to cushion it in the back of the net due to the pace on the cross, but couldn't do so.
And it's that second time that Mississippi's come down and actually had that option on the back post. I think it's something that has to be aware on the part of the McKinney Chupacabras. They have to be able to see that behind them, because that is being totally exposed on that back post, and you can only flirt with that kind of danger for so long.
Montez de Oca losing out in the ball here. Estrada, big tackle going in. That'll be a yellow card for absolute certain. In fact, no, that looked to be a yellow card for Estrada. If I was a betting man, I certainly would have put one on that. But the referee says no, but it will be a free kick to Brilla, which they take with Lobo.
It's almost a back five shape if you look at these black jerseys right now, but then it slots back into the 4, and you see not quite that depth that I'd like to see down there. Is that Romero still down there on that far left, Elliot?
The ball comes in from Mississippi Brilla towards the edge of the 18-yard area. Shot comes in, blocked again. It will go out for a throw-in. Who are you alluding to there, Daniel?
Far left side by that 30-yard line. I have just a glare on my screen.
Braden
I can't
Beeson.
quite see. So Braden Beeson slotted into that left side.
Yeah, he's playing left wing at the moment. Sebastian Romero came off earlier in the half in the 16th minute.
I understand wanting to have some kind of outlet, right? You need to at least have some kind of offensive presence to keep Mississippi Brilla honest. But if you're going to play on that far end, especially with that back 4, if you look over your head and see that there's an unmanned white jersey, I'd love to see Braden Beeson drop back in and help out a bit more defensively.
Yeah, he's in an unfamiliar position. Usually plays as that number 9, down the middle, holding the ball up. But because Montez de Oca came on so early into the second half, at the half-time interval, it has meant that Braden Beeson's had to be shifted out wide due to that red card from Ty Reynolds. As the ball comes down the middle, force for, and so John, he goes down, free kick given to Brilla. In fact, is it a penalty? I believe so. Penalty has been given. Dennis O'John claiming it immediately from his Brilla teammate, but he will now leave it for Marco Astora. Looks to be, well, a foul out of nothing really, but penalty given. Soren Russell has to recreate the heroics of Raul Torres only a few days ago. So the number 19, 22-year-old American midfielder, he's from Texas, and he's come back to his home state to potentially create some more despairing memories for the Chupacabras on this night where they're chasing that first ever win. And Marco Astora has all of 6'4" Soren Russell to get past in the goal. I think the roof would come off this place with a save here.
It was low into the keeper's left against Denton.
Referee's happy. Players on the edge of the box. Astora will step up for Mississippi Brilla, searching for that equaliser, and he does so. Excellent penalty. 1-1. With 8 minutes to go in this game, and it could be a backs-to-the-wall performance now as the Chupacabras try and defend this 1-1 draw and get away with a point.
Number 11, public enemy number 1 at Ron Post Stadium for the McKinney Chupacabras fans at this point, wins the penalty. Quick to let the fans know that he was in fact the one that wins the penalty. The fans, you can hear them again through our glass window here up in the booth. They are not thrilled, and certainly they'll feel like the air has come out of the stadium just a little bit as this game's all tied up at 1-1 despite such great defensive efforts all night from the McKinney Chupacabras.
Here come Brilla. Big tackle coming in there from Fiol. Wins the ball back. No foul, says the referee. Now it goes for Well, quite sure what Jacob Fiol was attempting there, but either way, back into Brilla possession.
Just got to stay composed here for the Chupacabras. 1 point with 10 men isn't the worst thing in the world, but you can't let this get out of hand. You take your chances if they get them.
Ball comes forward, looking for Braden Beeson, searching for his 3rd goal in Chupacabras colours. Played over towards the far side. Zaygalera gets there, takes no second chances. If in doubt, get it out.
I'll tell you what, it's something just to be aware if you're a forward player for the McKinney Chupacabras, and again, so much talent out there. It's just the awareness. I've seen on multiple occasions now, Mississippi Brilla's goalie, Sebastian Conlon, has come out very, very high out of his box. Potential long shot, potential chip. It's on the table in transition. If McKinney can get their space, it's just something to be aware of how high that visiting goalkeeper is coming out of his box.
Ball falls loose on the halfway line. Here's Lobo. Towards the goalkeeper it goes. One team certainly looking more comfortable now, and that is the away side, Brilla. Conlon wins the ball to Angelo Sempigia. Back out wide it goes. Bustamante on a yellow card. Fuels the ball down the left. Iliansil into the centre it goes. O'John, like you said, Public Enemy #1. Fuels the ball out wide. It's a good ball in a dangerous position. Fired towards an near post by João Pereira. And another missed opportunity. A goal is coming. I have to say, it looks as if it's going to be coming for the away side.
Just tense times at the moment for McKinney. It's difficult to regroup because they know they're hungry for a goal and an opportunity. But at this point, you just have to understand the situation that you're in a game. You're down a man with 5 minutes to go before you can earn your first point in your club's history. You have to maintain that kind of discipline and solely take those chances if you get them. But those chances aren't going to come if you're allowing Mississippi to maintain possession and get their opportunities.
And here they come once again down the left. Mohamed Songyang has created all sorts of trouble here. Songyang coming in down past Estrada, causing issues wherever he can as the ball comes in. And it's just headed wide. Full of despair there from David Chung. You've mentioned so many times in this broadcast, he's a danger man. And again, a missed opportunity.
We also opened up our broadcast with talking about his versatility, and we found him down the wing the entire game. And then out of nowhere, you see him playing about as centrally as you can possibly play, getting on the other end of a cross. He would have wanted that one back, but now that's 3 straight possessions that Mississippi Brilla have put pressure on this McKinney Chupacabras defense.
Comes forward down the right channel. Anson Lopez clattered into there by Elias Iliansil.
This is one of those rare opportunities where you can take
It's
a bit of a risk.
Another yellow card there for coach Jose Preciago. Got booked in the last game, got booked again in this one, and now the ball's been kicked away by Mohamed Sanyang.
This is one of those chances where you never want to criticize a referee. They have one of the hardest jobs in all of sports. But he does need to maintain the discipline of this game. We obviously saw that in its fullest play out with Ty Reynolds earlier on in the second half. But as he's talking to Coach Jose Burciaga on entirely different altercations going on in the field, him and his crew certainly need to maintain the posture at the very least of the final 5 minutes of this match.
Important delivery here from Fiol as he floats it in towards the box. Conlon comes out for it though and claims tremendously well. That is good goalkeeping if I've ever seen it. Sort of just bowls it out in one of the most peculiar ways I've ever seen, but it certainly works as Brilla come forward down that right, and now Son Russell has to be strong just on the edge of his 18-yard box, which is so difficult to see. I don't know if that's translating across on the live stream. That might have been why both myself and Daniel were a bit unsure whether it was actually a penalty kick that was given earlier, but this 18-yard area is not exactly drawn out as well as potentially these goalkeepers would have liked, so it's very hard for them to see where the ball is, and they have to be very careful on their particular positions.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever seen a chest pass in soccer, or at least on the soccer field, but there it was, Sebastian Conlon with the chest pass outlet to his forward player, and it did create an opportunity ultimately for Mississippi Brilla. Perhaps unconventional, but I guess as long as they know where the lines are, they'll be okay.
throw into the Chupacabras. 2.5 minutes left of regulation time. I'm expecting, to be fair, we said this on Saturday, we expected maybe 6 or 7 minutes. We only got 4. But I would be expecting maybe about 6 minutes again. There have been a lot of substitutions, there have been a few breaks.
Jack Monty's cramp. You had the red card as well, plenty of yellow cards.
At least 4 minutes, I would expect. So 6 minutes for the Chupacabras to, at the very least, hold on to this point. But Brilla will be certainly hoping to go back to Mississippi. That long, long drive back, all the way back to Mississippi. They'll be hoping to go back with 3 points on their team bus. And, well, they're doing the right things here by winning a free kick in a dangerous position.
I think at this point, the Chupacabras will take 1 minute of stoppage time, or no stoppage time at that. They certainly won't be getting that, but they also can't be giving up some of these opportunities in dangerous areas for Mississippi.
Well, I'm not 100% sure there if Jacob Fial has gone into the referee's notebook or not. It will be a free kick nevertheless for Mississippi Brilla. Carlos Lobo and Marco Astora, the goal scorer, over this right-footed and left-footed options. Milton Lopez and Jacob Fiol in the wall, a two-man wall that Soren Russell wants set up. Instructions just given there to Angelo Sempgia as he now trots in. Montez Dioka has got to make sure he's got his marking absolutely spot on here, as the rest of the defence. It's come in with the left boot, well blocked there by the wall. Jacob Fiol did his job.
Jacob Fiol's done about just every job you can possibly do on the soccer pitch tonight. He'll be disappointed, though, and certainly frustrated with some of the tackles he's had late, but he'll want to see this out nonetheless.
Fiol loses out on the ball there. Dennis O'John goes for a speculative effort. And that is one of the loudest cheers of the night as John's strike goes way, way wide of the goal.
Certainly something for the fans to cheer about. Difficult to say whether they'll understand the opportunity to cheer for that first point in McKinney Chupacabras history should they be able to hold this 1-1 lead. But perhaps this defensive effort from a 10-man squad will earn the respect of their team for sure.
Goal kick comes forward. Lorenza lets the ball go past him. Ball down by Montez Dioka. Puts the ball in behind. Braden Beeson is there. This is the first real opportunity of the last 25 minutes for the Chupacabras. Beeson trying to potentially win that penalty. Brings in Hernandez with the left boot. Puts the ball in towards the 18-yard area. Goes all the way through out towards this near side. Fiol scampering across to get there. Wins a free kick. Dennis O'John, who's already on a yellow card. The referee not being moved there. 7 minutes of additional time has been indicated. Well, they wanted longer the other night, the Chupacabras. I don't think they quite wanted 7 tonight. But that will be music to the ears of head coach Michael Azera for Mississippi Brilla.
They'll take this opportunity, but they're also not taking very many chances. 4 black jerseys, if you include the kick taker here, behind the ball, and just 4 options in the box.
Fiol plays it down the right channel. That's a really poor ball. And then Milton Lopez claims the ball back. Referee says no foul. Lopez skipping past 3 players once again there. He's had a wonderful cameo appearance this evening.
He would have preferred 4, but he got past the initial 3, and McKinney Chupacabras maintained possession.
Russell chips it forward down the right channel. Lopez somehow keeps that in. I mean, that is miraculously kept in from a poor kick there from the goalkeeper. And as the ball comes down the left channel, Dennis O'John, I don't think I've ever seen a player jeered so much.
Just continues to hear that chorus of boos every time he touches. You have to love the passion. Not that you'd expect anything different from this Chupacabras fan base, but they are keeping up that vocal performance every time number 11 gets on the ball.
They need to be in fine vocal form again this Saturday as they face Hattiesburg. 7:30 kickoff here at the Rompo Stadium. We'll be live once again on sportsengine.com and on the McKinney Chupacabras YouTube channel. It's a wonderful ball there from Fiol. Finds Braden Beeson on the left channel. He's got to come inside now on his right boot. Brings in Gabriel Hernandez again. Maybe tries to take on his man. He does. Hernandez down the left. Heavy touch. Sempgia comes across. That chance has dwindled out. Maybe the Chupacabras should just put the ball into the box. Taking a chance there by trying to bring someone else into play rather than going back down the field. But Beeson back into play again, holding up his man. Referee gives a free kick. And all of a sudden, in stoppage time, home team have been the better side.
Yeah, you never want to say missed opportunity when you're playing 10v11. Certainly playing down a man if you're the Chupacabras, but you really want to see at least an attempt on goal if you're Braden Beeson, especially with his skill level on those 2 opportunities down the left side, instead of electing to go back to his fullback for a potential cross, and only one of those attempts to actually get the cross. So I'd feel like, hey, at this point, why not take an opportunity, especially if you're a number 9, you finally get the ball to your feet, to take a shot on goal.
Lorenza chips it in towards Ryan Anderson, who gets there, puts it across the 18-yard area, and nobody was there in a black jersey. The closest one was Montez de Oca.
We talk about Sebastian Conlon just being a little too excitable coming out of that box. He was completely out of position as Ryan Anderson beats him to the ball. You slot that on net, and you're walking away with 3 points in this match, but now you could be looking at the other.
Julian Estrada gives it away. Chung down the right channel as Aguilera doesn't get there. Chung does, but the ball goes out of play before he manages to put the ball into the box, and Estrada there spared his blushes on his first ever appearance for the Chupacabras with 3.5 minutes to go of stoppage time.
Ooh, very, very interesting what we just saw. Number 11, public enemy number 1, just kicked the ball back out to midfield. Any kind of time wasting, which you wouldn't expect from an 11-man team, should result in a yellow card, and he's already on a yellow. Very interesting play out, but again, just one of those things where you'd expect the referee as a unit to actually keep an eye on all aspects of the field. It seems like they're always fixated on one thing off the ball.
Well, referees, as much as fans may think, they don't like to give out red cards. They know it kind of disturbs the flow of the game, and it's not something they particularly enjoy doing, but sometimes it has to be done. You know, if it's a second yellow card that needs giving out, sometimes referees are maybe a little bit too lenient, and Dennis O'John's had a couple of moments now where he hasn't been given that second yellow card. Here's Milton Lopez trying to create something, goes down on the challenge there of Iliansil, the Frenchman. Free kick.
I think if you're a Chupacabras fan, there's so much positive you can pull from this game, but you know, aside from the play of Jacob Fiol and some of these other great players that we've seen get on the back line and in the midfield earlier on, my goodness, you haven't seen much of him, but what you have seen from Milton Lopez has been wildly impressive, and I think that's certainly a positive you need to take out of this game, regardless of result.
Braden Beeson just stopping there. Sebastian Conlon getting the ball forward, skips off the head of Guerrero. Ryan Anderson goes down, and the linesman on that far side gives a free kick. The Brilla celebrations cut short. And Ryan Anderson, shoulder barges are allowed in soccer, but there, maybe just a little bit too harsh. And maybe more of a shove than a shoulder barge free kick given. But good finish.
A bit uncomfortable with which way that could have gone for me, because the initial foul call wasn't called immediately. It looked like he had him just by a step, and when you get pushed in the back, that's where you get into foul territory. But to your credit, and to our fan favorites' credit, yes, a great finish with the chip shot.
We're into the final 90 seconds of this fixture. Chupacabras so close to getting their first ever points on the board. If you're new to soccer, there is no overtime, additional time, but the game can end in a tie. Brilla certainly trying to change that, but well kept in there by Fiol, who's currently got the captain's armband, flicks it past his man, and goes for a crossfield ball. Braden Beeson skipping back to get there, and he has done. Tries to play the ball through the middle. It's too much from the Chupacabras as they're trying to force that winner, and you can kind of tell with the way they're playing on the field that winner is trying to be forced out of them.
He was looking for Milton Lopez. Had he played that ball through, it would have been an absolutely incredible ball. You love the vision there, but perhaps the vision outplayed the ability to slot that ball in.
Chung brings down Fiol, free kick to the home side. Last chance saloon. And if not, it'll go on to Saturday's game against Hattiesburg. Tickets available now on the McKinney Chupacabras website. Soren Russell sends that kick forward. Arrowed for Braden Beeson, who just lets the ball run past him. He doesn't chase after it. Sepgia gets there, who clears his lines forward. Goes right down the middle for David Chung. Isaiah Gallardo doesn't get past his man. Here comes Dennis O'John. He's in behind. Could break Chupacabras' heart. Stays on his feet just about. Back on his right boot. Shoots it towards goal, Soren Russell claims. And that was nearly the most nightmarish of endings for the Chupacabras. And they're trying to bring it into life here. But that's it. Full-time whistle goes. A mix of boos ring around the Rompo Stadium, mostly for the referee and probably for Dennis O'John. but I think a 1-1 draw, a fair result in the end. Certainly the game changed after that Ty Reynolds red card. Nothing really much in the game in the end, and the focus will now turn to Saturday.
It's difficult when you say that there's any kind of disappointment, especially when you're doing something historic and, for the most part, historically significant, right? In a positive way. You earn your first point as a new franchise in the McKinney Chupacabras, but it's just the way things went down. Of course, seeing Ty Reynolds go off with a red card is so difficult as one of your most talented players, and seeing the way the game played out as a 1-1 draw despite holding that lead for over 60 minutes is a difficult pill to swallow. But when you think about some of the positives you saw today, Jacob Fiol, absolutely electric. Isaiah Guerra, the versatility in his positioning as both a midfielder and a defensive player was fantastic. You still continue to see the goal-scoring prowess of Braden Beeson up front, which is fantastic. Jack Monty coming back provided some defensive solidity, which you love to see. And then, my goodness, the surprise of the night, Milton Lopez, I thought was absolutely fantastic. What he could potentially do with an 11-man squad gets Chupacabras fans excited, and certainly us as a broadcast team looking forward to Saturday pretty excited too.
Yeah, absolutely. There were several key players still missing for the Chupacabras this evening. We'll run through those quickly. Omar Holness still needs to return from a groin injury. Sebastian Kennedy from a hamstring injury. Zeron Sewell from a quad. Brandon Nava's seemingly out for the season with that knee injury. But the players not in the squad this evening: Connor Lewis, Paul Kosihasi, Raul Torres, Osi Iyama, Alfred Youth, Liam Magana, Evan Pustiovsky, and David Rivas, who also signed this week. So a number of players still to come in. Selection headache for sure for Jose Burciaga. Maybe a few too many players, with 35 currently signed on the roster. But it's a quick turnaround of games, 1 day rest, and you're back here again Saturday. So I'm sure changes will have to be made. And
it's an issue you'd rather have, right, than the other way around. You'd rather have the options to play a group of talented players. And I think in that conversation, in the huddle you're seeing on your field right now, Coach has got to be telling his team that, hey, look at the last 2 games. We gave up 10 goals in 2 matches. Look at this one. 97 minutes in, you gave up 1, and it was when you're down to 10 men.
That's on a penalty as well, not from open play.
And on a penalty as well. You defended set pieces much better. Yes, you still allowed some over-the-top balls, which has been an issue in the first 2 matches, to worry your defense, but it hasn't caused or led to any goals tonight. So there are certainly so many positives, and with the number of players that you mentioned coming back, some very talented players at that, a potential team captain in Omar as well, I think there's plenty to get excited about moving forward for this Chupacabra squad. And getting that first point, call it step 1.
Well, once again, tonight's game was brought to you by Texans Credit Union, who are a proud partner of the McKinney Chupacabras. If you've seen on your screens at all throughout the game those Chupacabras claws, those were brought to you by the Texans Credit Union. It's just the Texan way. Well, please do join us again on Saturday. It's a 7:30 kickoff as the Chupacabras take on Hattiesburg FC, another team from Mississippi. It's McKinney Youth Soccer Night, so if you're listening and you're from the McKinney area, please do come and down. We have the McKinney Soccer Association, Solar, Steel United, Texas Spurs, Supra, and many other local soccer clubs that are coming out to celebrate the beautiful game in McKinney. And like Daniel, you mentioned earlier, it's presented by D1 Training, and the first 500 fans will receive a rally towel courtesy of D1 Training, with those tickets available now at McKinneyChupacabras.com. From myself, Elliot Stockdale, and Daniel Esteve, we hope to join you once again on Saturday. But for now, thank you very much and good night.
Yeah, you keep thinking about your problems like the people want me to solve them.